Hey everyone, welcome back to Indicted TV. I'm your host Negra. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Before we start, you already know we got to give a shout out to my sponsors, Royalty Honey. Keep it hard, guys. Also, if you guys are going bald and you want to give yourself like a little, not like a lineup, but fill it in, right? Fill it in. Make sure you guys hit up Finishing Touch SMP. Also, if you want to learn how to tattoo or you want to get a tattoo, ConnectInk is your guy for the best jewelry. Make sure you hit up For His Glory. And if you're in Hollywood, hit up L.A Kush on Sunset. Use promo code 40NEGRA at the L.A Kush on Sunset location. If you're in Paramount, make sure you hit up Fatimas Grill for the bomb food. Code Negra. On today's episode, we have Chino. Welcome to Indicted TV.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming.
I've been looking forward to it because I've been paying attention to your podcast and what you've been doing. It's dope, because you don't see a lot of female representing the culture, not just that, but like the whole criminal justice reform and the whole criminal justice system. And I feel like you've been a representative, a face of that. And, to me, that's dope.
Oh, thank you.
I like to see it. I wish I could see more of it, like more people, more women getting involved and sharing,
Yeah, I would love to have more girls, but it is a little harder to have women here.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because their men have more control over them. And it is what it is. That's just the way it is. Or maybe their family or the new boyfriends don't know about their past, things like that. I don't know. That's just what I'm assuming. Girls, you guys better tighten up. Get it together, girls. So tell me, Chino, tell me where you're from. Obviously, I'm going to say, I'm not, you already know what I'm going to say, not the gang.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
your mom, dad, the inside of your house growing up.
Well, straight up, I'm from Monte. I grew up in Monte. They call me Chino. I'm from the city of Flores,
The way he says it. I'm from the city of Flores.
It's the city of Flores. It's the city of flowers, where the wildflowers grow. And
is that why it's called that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
I'm lying. I met wildflowers in the street. I was a wildflower in the street. But I grew up in Monte my whole life. I'm first generation Mexican. My family Mexican. Migrated over here.
What part of Mexico?
Guadalajara. I'm from Guadalajara, Jalisco. Yeah.
That's cool. I've been.
Yeah. And I'm about to go in a couple weeks for my niece's quinceañera.
Dope.
Yeah, but so I grew up first generation. And Monte is very Mexican, overpopulated with Mexican and Asians, so it's like I grew up nothing around Mexicans. So that's been my whole, growing up, that's been my whole experience.
Do you have brothers, sisters?
I have, I'm the middle of 5 boys.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have the middle child syndrome. That's true, It is.
How you say it?
For real, it's true. I heard about it when I went to prison, like the whole, and I'm like, damn, I fit that, that's true. But, so I have 2 younger brothers, 2 older sisters. 2 younger brothers, 2 older brothers, and an older sister. Oh, so I was born a twin, too.
Oh,
wow. My twin passed away when we were young. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I come from a big family. I'm very family-oriented. And to this day, I'm very close to my family. That's all we have over here.
Your parents are still together?
No. My dad, they never really been together. I grew up, it's weird, because I grew up with my mom and my dad at the household, but they never kissed. I never seen them hold hands. But my dad just grew up with the philosophy, and I remember him telling me, when you decide to have kids, because he would see me with chicks in the front of the house chilling and doing, macking.
He thought you're the man.
Yeah, I really did. But he would, there was this moment where he pulled me. I remember he called me to the truck and he told me, hey, don't have kids unless you're ready to give up your life.
Most definitely.
You stop living for yourself. And that always stood with me. So
Love
this is
that.
why I avoided having kids. I didn't have my daughter until 2 years ago. And I'm 39 now. So it's I'm a grown older father. So it's a different experience that I'm giving to my daughter than having her at 21-year-old.
It's so different.
Yeah, and so that I kind of adopted that same philosophy. When I had my daughter, the things I was doing as a single man. I had to give a lot of things up and surrender a lot of things and that I was doing. And
I love that you're saying all of that. For these young guys that are watching, watch yourselves.
Yeah, no, and
I love that.
That's part of transitioning from a young adulthood to manhood, taking those responsibilities, especially if you're going to be playing with having kids and stuff. That's not something that I feel like nowadays is too common. People just have kids and just it's nah, hold on, you can't, you can't walk away from that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the relationship is, and So yeah, I grew up with my mom and my dad, that kind of relationship. So So
como que no había mucho amor así.
Yeah, like cariño and like, you know, like there wasn't a lot. Like for us, from them to us, yeah, but just them.
Each
like,
other.
I never saw like what it was supposed to look like. I never was really into like relationships when I was young. I had a girlfriend, but like nothing serious. I was more in the streets, you know. I was more running around. I'm a middle of 5 boys, you know, so they ain't even got time for me. So I'm in the streets, and you know, so it's like at a young age, I feel like I've always been a troubled kid, you know. Like,
are you the only one that's troubled? Well, not anymore.
Well, my older brother Chris, my older brother Chris. I feel like he was the one first to kind of get in the gang.
Okay, so you're not the only one.
Nah, my older brother kind of started getting into the gang, and my older brother he went to the Marine Corps though when he was out of high school, so that kind of like
changed him,
transformed him.
Oh, good.
He became a whole other person. Yeah, like he came back all buff and like big old legs and like he just became another person, you know. So it's like
it helped.
Yeah, it very much did, and I saw it, you know. So I was impressed by that. Like I was impressed by the discipline he came, like the way he would just his program, you know. Like I was impressed by that. So I was expecting it. I was looking forward to going to the Marine Corps when I was young, but I was just too much of a in and out of jail, you know. So I spent my whole childhood like getting kicked out of school, like the typical like suspended from school.
Since like elementary?
Since I could remember.
Okay.
I've always been like, I have stories of like taking a BB gun and shooting people, like just like, you know, just stupid shit like that.
So you were just a vago, period.
I was
always.
A little badass kid. Since everybody that knows me in my city, that's why they know me in my city since I was young. Before I went to prison, the people that know me when I was young, you know, they know me as a badass because I'd be in the streets all day, and I was like a runaway. Like I would run away and I'd be gone and I'd be just
because you wanted to be in the streets.
It was just because I'll be fighting with my brothers too, and my mom, and like I'll be fighting with them. So I'll just be gone. I'm gone, you know. And my older brothers never really accepted me into their crowd.
Got it.
So I couldn't really kick it. You know, they always, you know, like sassy me, like get out of here and shit like that. And so I was like, that kind of pissed me off. So I just started doing my own thing. And you start running into, when you're in the streets, you start running into, you know, the lost children of the tribe, you know. And
most definitely.
So I start running into other young dudes, you know, that
like you
live in the same way and, you know, family trouble or dad not in the picture.
That's a perfect way to. That's a perfect way to put it.
We kind of gravitated to each other, and you know, I kind of like, I kind of just, you know, had my small just group of friends that, and we just, you know, we were just turning up like on some trying to prove ourselves and trying to make our own name. And,
yeah,
like,
typical.
Yeah, you know,
typical.
Like, yeah, and I kind of like it because I don't feel like I grew up with a crew or I didn't have like a crowd like.
Everybody.
I jumped, everybody, young, old. Since I was young, I'd be with the OGs, I'd be with the youngsters, I'd be like
everywhere.
You know, yeah. So that kind of gave me a different perspective too, though, like a wider perspective of myself, of life, of people, just because I was so mixed and mingling with everybody from young to old, you know. So it gave me a good sense of myself, you know, and where I fit in and who I was, just from learning a lot from them people. Because I'll be kicking with the OGs and I'm with the youngsters, and I'm like, I feel like I was elevated a little bit because I got you know, I'm coming with a different gaming experience and just things that I was learning from being with older dudes that I had them all beat, you know. So when I was like 14, I was like, I had people that were like literally like following me that were 17, 16, like way older than me. You know, so I was very influential and very like aggressive, and like I've always been like, I feel like an alpha leader, like a you know, outspoken, like the one to just, you know, take charge, you know. So that's kind of like how I grew up. My childhood was just full of but I remember there was a time where I was into sports. Like I was into sports all I had to do with my little brothers, and then I don't know what happened. Something happened, and like the sports disappeared in my life. I just remember like I just stopped doing sports, and I think it's when I started getting in trouble in school, and then I started getting in contact with the law. I started going to juvenile hall.
So tell me about your first time that you went to juvenile hall. Well,
the first time I went to juvenile hall is because I kept getting suspended from school, like
the twins and shit.
Yeah, and you know, my mom, I think she was just kind of like worried about me, and so, you know, she worked for the school district, so she started thinking that like, oh, the police are gonna help you, you know. So she started trying to put me in, and like next thing you know, they locked me up. So I got locked up for my first time I got locked up was for a burglary. It wasn't even a burglary. I just broke into my homie's house waiting for him, and his mom came, and she saw me at his house, and she's like, what are you doing? And, you know, freaked out. And I'm like, I'm waiting for Robert, you know. And she ended up calling the cops, and so I ended up having that pending on me, and that's the reason why I ended up getting locked up the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like 13. So I got locked up for that, and I'm like, man, so whatever.
Did you actually go to the juvenile hall and stay there?
I went to hall, yeah. So I started, I did like what? The first times I went, I did like what? 3 Ricardo M times? Where they do the little 30-day lockup and they kick you out. And LP.
And how was your first experience, like your first 30 days?
It was a trip
because you weren't a gang member yet.
I was in the streets. You know what? I didn't even like my homies. I didn't even like the hood, like because I felt like they didn't accept me. So I'm like, man, these dudes. I was just like on my own shit, just a little troublemaker. Okay. So on the gangbanging stuff, I wasn't even too interested. I was around me. You know, I was cool with a lot of them, but there's because of my brother and what he made me go through. I was like, man, F these dudes. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like, I just. But once I started getting to know the older crowd, then like obviously
changed.
Like,
yeah.
But when I went to the halls, honestly, it was a culture shock for me more than anything because.
As far as what? Yeah.
That's the first time I really was around black people, honestly, you know. And I saw that you had a homeboy here that was talking about, you know, his experience in Monte, and it's true, you know.
Oh, Freddie, the 86er.
Yeah. And you know what? And it's true, and it's crazy because at Monte, that's how it was. It's not that they were racist. There's no black, like literally I grew up my whole life, never saw one black person until I went to jail. And then it was kind of like, I'm lying. There is a black family that lives in my city. The only family that I know of. And I used to beat up the kid that was my age. Yeah, you know, there's a crazy story about that. And I was telling Fred, I messaged him and I was telling him like, hey bro, like, cause I know I was kind of like laughing at like, cause it was funny. It reminds me of
Did
like,
find out it was him?
Nah. I thought it wasn't him.
Fred.
Because that kid ended up becoming my best friend. His name is Michael Taylor. You know, shout out to Michael Taylor. And you know what? Like I had a crazy experience that really changed how I saw it, and I think it prepared me for prison and how I, you know, interacted with African Americans. You know, and one of those days I was always beating them up. I catch them at bus stop. Me and the homies would jump them. And one day I went by myself, and his brother and his dad ran up on me and snatched me up.
Ándale, cabrón.
Yeah, and I got scared. I thought, oh man. And the dad was like, he questioned me, you know. He was like, hey, why are you doing this? Like, what's your problem with my son? And I didn't have a response for him, honestly. And
did you feel dumb?
I just felt stupid. I just felt like I felt ignorant. Like I didn't know what I was like. I didn't know what to tell you. And I felt just ashamed, you know. Like I felt guilty.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, damn, like I really don't have no reason to be, you know, harassing this dude. Besides him being black and just being an outsider to me was like, you're an outsider. What are you doing here? You know. And I think too, like for us was like the fear of like having, you know, people come and then you know, another gang of black gang starts, and like, you know, that's how it starts. When you start allowing people into your, you know, that's how it starts, you know. So like I think we were very big. The city was very big on like pushing anybody that came over here trying to do anything. We pushed everybody out.
I know.
You know, so he invited me to his house for dinner, and I remember I was very hesitant. I was kind of like, man, is this a setup? But I went.
And you were how old at this time?
I was like 14.
Okay.
14, 13.
This is already after you went to juvenile hall.
I was already in and out of juvenile hall. I haven't gone to camp yet, but I was in and out of juvenile hall.
Okay.
So you know, so it's like, I think like my experience in the halls too with that, because they were very aggressive, you know, when I'm running into like dudes like from the projects, you know, like, and then
you have
very
no idea.
Disrespectful, taking your shit, like it was really like that. And if you were like, you know, if you were a timid kid, like they're taking your shit. So I used to see, they never did it to me because I was a big kid, you know, but when I would see, you know, them, you know, the blacks taking the homie shit, like just, like after a while, like I'm like, I can't, you know, like.
Yeah, you have to have your back.
I just felt some type of way, you know, and so I started feeling like I had to defend, and then I got myself into some other shit, because now I got into it with this dude from LA. I'm not knowing the LA culture, the LA gang like that, so now I got beef with this fool. He's from East Coast. And then his homies want to run phase, or they want to catch me in class. So it's like I had to deal with that. And then I'm from Florida, you know, so I'm over there banging the F, you know, throwing up the F when I'm banging on fools, and they thinking I'm from Florence. So, you know, I'll be getting in fights with these dudes, you know. So it's like a lot of that I was going through. So I kind of built up a rage and towards them because of that. They made my time
hard.
Yeah, but
technically you made your time hard.
I made it hard, but that challenge kind of like, honestly, like that challenge, it made me stronger, and it made me, you know, adapt and equip myself to handle that kind of stuff. You know? It prepared me for the future, actually.
Yeah, like you said. So tell me about that. When you went to go, you were already out. You obviously already experienced the whole situations in juvenile hall, and then obviously you got out, and then he was your friend now.
So he was in my, like, so that happened, and he invited me, and I went, and I remember like they're from Hoover. I remember they're from Hoover. They had a family party, and they're all wearing orange, and I'm like, you know, and they're like doing the little dance, you know, their Hoover dance and two fingers, and like all this stuff that I was just into. To me, it was funny. And it was just kind of like, it was all shock. And you know what, like I tripped out, and I remember ever since after that, like I just didn't feel the same towards, like I couldn't behave the same towards people like that. You know, like I feel like whatever, if I was racist or if I was aggressive towards black people, like it went away just because of my relationship and my connection that I built with him. And to this day, he still lives in Monte. He barely moved back, and he's a good friend of mine, you know, childhood friend, and we have mutual friends in common. So, you know, like.
Yeah, like he helped you like understand that, hey, just because certain people behave a certain way in a certain, but just like us, they probably feel the same way. Like, bro, we could be super aggressive. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's just be like, this is what I feel like. I feel like, okay, in reality, we're all human, bro.
Yeah.
We're all made exactly the same way. We just think that we're all different.
Yeah, and then that's the truth. But my perception of my reality at the time, it was like, you're an outsider, you're a threat. You have to, you know, I have to do something about it. And it wasn't until I got to know him and build that relationship and get to know his family and just the warm welcoming. I feel like it made me feel like they treated me like family, you know.
Nice.
And they gave me the most respect, and they were hood with it. They were active too. It's not like they were just square ass family.
Yeah.
So I respected that too, and I'm like, okay.
I see
you know,
it.
and it just gave me a different perspective, and like, you know, where what changed for me was like, you know, when my homies would see somebody, I'm like, nah, like
what are you doing, fool?
Nah, let's go, you know. So it's like, instead of participating in stuff like that, like it put me in a position to where it's like, nah, you know, I'm not gonna do that. Let's not do that, you know. So it's like, so that was a crazy experience, and I was sharing it with Fred. But so that was my life, you know, go in and out of jail. I went to camp.
How was the camp?
It was a trip.
The way you say it, you look at me. Why? What happened?
I went to Camp Holton, you know, and Camp Holton was active at the time. And my brother had just got refouled on from Camp Holton, so he had made a lot of enemies, and like with staff and like a lot of people.
Oh shit!
Yeah, my brother, and so when I pulled up, they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna be," you know, I'm already dealing with the shit that he left behind. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, because I look like him, and you know, so they were like, you know, and so I had to run phase with fools and just.
And you're like, yeah, that's not me.
I'm like, it don't matter. Like, I'm like, really, I had homies there, you know, like my homies were always deep.
Yeah, because you guys are deep.
Yeah, and everywhere we go too, you know, we run into the homies from Florence, so you know, it becomes an F thing, you know. We start, so it's like I had a lot of good relationships, you know. So, you know, I just, you know, ran a lot of phase, you know, put hands on fools and handled whatever, you know, did whatever I had to do, and just.
I'm sure you got fucked up here and there. Everybody.
I never got fucked up.
Oh.
Spencer? Nah, that's true. I'm just being honest. I'm just clowning. If there's somebody out there that said me up, please let it be known. Cause
no. Don't even let it be known, because we don't want the chaos.
But I never. That's because no one's gonna pop up. That's what I'm saying. No one's gonna pop up. I never got my hands.
I'm just clowning.
I never got my hands. I mean, you know, like. I'll take, you know, a bump here.
I understand for sure.
Because I grew up with 4 brothers, remember?
Yeah, you guys were getting down,
We fighting every day, you know, so I could, you know, and I got 2 older brothers, so it's like, when I would fight dudes my age, I feel like, man, you're nothing. Yeah. So I would just eat them up, boom, 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 just, you know, and just leave them there, like, man, get my face.
Yeah, especially when you're in, like, obviously in these places, we feel like it does make us feel like a little power. It does make us feel like, and we do behave that way. Yeah. But it's like we have no other choice but to be that way.
It's fight or flight. You know, you're either gonna bow down or you're gonna put your chest out, and you're gonna, you know. And I was like, you know, I'm putting my chest out, you know. So,
yeah, for sure.
And you know, so camp was like a trip, you know, because from the halls it was one experience. Camp was more like a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more advanced. You know, and
it was a lot more structure.
A lot more structure.
As far as like, you know, you have to like march, and you have to do all of that.
Yeah, you had to do it. And you f***ed up. They're on you like, hey, homie. You know, so it's like you had to deal with a lot of that shit. And but you know what? I did good. I did my camp time. I met a lot of homies. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. When I got out of camp, I probably grew like 3 inches. I was tall. I grew.
Yeah, because you're tall.
Yeah, and when I got out, like I was tall, like a size that I wasn't even familiar with.
Oh yeah, you came out.
So I came out like but I was only out for 2. It fucked me up because I was only out for 2 months, and that's when I caught my prison term.
Oh shit! So you got out at 17?
I got out in December of 2000, like December 5th. So right before New Year's. I mean, right before Christmas and New Year's of 2001. And I got arrested in Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2000.
Oh dang!
Yeah. So I was only out for 2 years. Like that honestly, that coming out like that, I was up there. Like when I was young.
And you're all G'd up too?
Like
Or not really?
I wasn't so much G. Like I was always fly. Like I was fresh. I
Like
wasn't
sporty
so much,
vibes?
Yeah, I wasn't always so much cholo. You know.
Okay,
like,
okay.
Just because of like not wanting to be like associated with my homies that were like that, because you know like.
Well, no, because honestly, every gang that's really, really big has the super cholo looking ones.
Yeah.
They have the sporty ones.
Yeah.
They have the clean cut one. It's just how it is. Like, like they have the paisa ones.
I mean, I feel like
not paisa like that, but you get what I'm saying.
Nah,
like, you know what I mean?
I get exactly what you're saying, and it's true. And it all depends on what you're rooted on. You know, like I feel like I'm more rooted on my Mexican culture, so I'm more the paisa.
And then they all clown each other. They hate, like not hating each other, but like they because.
Yeah, but it's the truth.
But it's the way it is in reality.
If you run into a homie from my barrio who's third, fourth generation, they're more cholo than I am. I'm more paisa. I'm more like, you know, like not even that paisa, but just I'm more like.
I mean, like, the corrido vibes.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because I grew up Mexican, real Mexican, and I realized that there's a big difference in the generation gap and not being rooted from that culture and being rooted from that culture. So there's a lot of homies that I would be in conflict with because of the way they would behave towards paisas, or when they saw paisas, like, oh, that wetback. And I'm like, homie, like, that's like, I'm thinking, like, that's like talking to my mom, homie, like my dad. So I'm like, what the fuck you mean by paisa? You're Mexican. Like, that right there did not make sense to me. So I would always fight with people and be like, you, like always getting into shit. I'll have homies that be robbing the elotes, man, you know, and I'll be getting into it. Why you do? So stuff like that. And I didn't understand
and
it.
You know what? I'm glad that you say that, because like, you know how they make it seem like it's like a new, like, no, it's before
it's been going on.
Before it was really, really bad.
And it was our own people doing
exactly.
it. And you know what? The people that were doing it were third, fourth generation who didn't respect paisas. They saw paisas as something different, or like an extension of, like, they were not associated with that. And to me, it was like, I'm coming home, my dad's paisa, my mom's paisa. That's how they talk Spanish. So it's like, to me, I took offense to the way they were treating you know, those vendors, you know, the elotes.
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, that shit would piss me off, and a lot of homies didn't like me because of that, you know, because I would talk shit. I'm like,
and you're down, like, what are you gonna do with me? Like,
I was young too, talking shit.
You could get down with the homies. This is what it is.
Yeah, you know,
we're friends anyways.
I just didn't like that. But I understood it as time went on, you know, just like I said, the third, fourth generation, they're not rooted in the Mexican culture. They're rooted in more like the Chicano culture of the Americanized culture.
Yeah, and it's here. Like they have, that's the way, that's just the way it is.
The truth is they're limited to their existence, honestly, because I feel like because I am rooted in my Mexican culture, I know more of who I am than you do. Because you're just who you think you are in this world, but you could be more than that if you really root yourself in where you come from, where your family comes from, and you really like backtrack where you came from to get to where you're at. You will have a better understanding of who you are and what you represent in this world, in this space that you're in right now. If you only know what you know in that little bubble of the barrio, and a lot of people in my hood are like that. Like, they grew up in the hood and they don't know nothing outside the city. And like a lot of people, I would have been one of them if I didn't go to prison. Like, all I know the hood, I would have known nothing, completely ignorant.
A lot. I was like that.
And it's sad. Yeah, honestly, it's sad.
To an extent.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we all are to some degree. But you know, traveling, going to prison,
meeting more people.
Yeah. So at 15, I went to prison. I ended up catching a 15-year term for carjacking.
Wait. So you went to prison. So you got out of camp.
So I got out of camp.
And you were 14, or
I was 15.
15.
I turned 15 at camp, and I got out in December.
And then
I got locked up in February.
And you got the 15 years.
And I got 15 years, and then I turned 16 in April, that April.
Okay. Were you charged as an adult?
I was charged as an adult, yeah. I was charged as
Tell us about that. Tell us about being charged as an adult at you catching your case at 15, getting sentenced at 16 or something like that, correct? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that experience. So, where did you go? Like,
it was a crazy experience, and it was during the time of Prop 21 when it first came out. It was 2001 when Prop 21 came out, where they're actually treating juvenile offenders as adults, like literally like as adults. So when I got locked up, I remember I went to my fitness hearing. My whole
You're in LP this whole time.
I was in LP probably for like a couple weeks, and then I transferred to Silmar.
You went to Silmar?
I mean, I'm lying, to Central.
Because that's where they had the KLs.
Yeah, and
I was the lifers.
And I was in KL fighting my case, and I just remember, like, I didn't really understand. Like, honestly, I didn't understand the laws. I didn't understand. I'm thinking I was gonna do a couple years, you know, like I really did, and because I'm like, I didn't kill nobody, you know, it's a carjacking. Yeah, I had a firearm. Yeah, you know, I did this. Yeah, I took him on a high-speed chase. Yeah, but I'm like, I didn't kill nobody, you know. So it's like, they didn't get me for that, so I should be good. Hell nah. I fired so in the county bus when I would go to court, I'll go to L.A County. They'll transfer me to L.A County, and I get in the adult bus, you know, and they would put me in an orange jumpsuit because I had an orange jumpsuit from being in KL.
Yeah, because you're in kid.
So when I would go in the county bus, they would put me in the front cages where the high power or the PCs would be at. You know, that's like, the front cages.
Yeah.
So I would be right there in orange. So homies would come in thinking I'm high power because I'm wearing orange jumpsuit, you know. And they didn't know I was a juvenile until like as time went on, you know.
They started seeing you at
where
court.
you from? Hey, what's up? So on that bus, I ran into one of my homeboys who was in the gang module. He sat right behind me, matter of fact. He was just real quiet. And I didn't talk to nobody unless they spoke to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I'm a kid, you know, and I'm just like,
trying to observe.
I don't want to say nothing, and I don't know, like, this is a whole other world. I'm just observing, but I'm acting and I'm looking hard, like if I'm a regular.
But it's just the way it is. We all adjust. Everybody, like, I know what you mean.
It was intimidating.
And if you're watching this and you've experienced, you know what you mean. We understand you, but to the ones that don't know and just watch because you guys like to learn and you guys like the channel, you guys, you know, this is what it really is.
It was scary.
Like, it's,
I gotta lie, it was scary because I'm going to the county bus, like L.A County bus, going to court, and I'm dealing with all these people, you know, and some fools come in hard, you know, and fools still smoked out fresh from the streets and on some active shit, and you know, and fools will hit me up, I'll get turned up, like, what's up? Like, I always felt like I had to be more aggressive.
Because you're a baby.
Yeah, just because, you know, I didn't want them to see me as a punk, or, you know, like, I was very big on, like, don't look at me like a kid. Like, I wanted to be older before
I just called you a baby, folks.
Nah, it's cool.
But
I'm
you
over
were.
that now. At the time, yeah. Now I want to be a baby. Now I want to be a baby. I want to be a baby.
Yeah.
At the time I was very, like, wanted to be bigger, treated big more than what I was, as far as my age goes. So, but I also was surrounded by a lot of G homies in my hood, older homies that, like, taught me how to behave, taught me how to, like, conduct myself, and that's the one thing that I commend my homies who took the time to lace me up on those type of things that I didn't realize as a man how beneficial it was. Just that little splash that they give you there.
Just really, to carry yourself correctly.
Man, you know, and honestly, it prepared me for what came ahead. So I'm going to the county bus, and I'm, you know, some dude bangs on me, and I bang on him back, and he's like, all right. And I'm telling them I'm a juvenile offender. I'm in the halls, and they're all tripping out. Everybody starts tripping out. And all the girls in the front, they want to start kissing, they want to show me and stuff. I was like, what? They're like,
oh, because this is a time when nobody knew until that day.
Until I start talking to them, because they're in the back, you know. They had seen me before, but they didn't say shit to me. They were just, I don't know. But that one time, some fool hit me up. And I was like, I backed on him.
And then your homie was sitting in the back.
He was sitting in the back, and I'm talking to the dudes in the back, you know, cages and shit. And they're like, what? And they're like, what? You're in the halls? Like, tripping out. They're just tripping out that I was 16.
There with them, yeah.
I was like, I'm 16. I think at that time I was 15 still. So the girls are listening, and they're just like, what, baby? You know, oh, you want to see some shorts? So that was funny, you know, but it was cool. It was cool. But my homie was listening to me, and he was talking to me. You know, hey, you know, what you locked up for? Well, they come big out from Florida, and he's like, I just got out from doing 15. He's like, I'm facing another 15. He's like, for the same thing, carjacking. He's like, look, this is what you want to do. Like, fire your lawyer, get a state appointed. They're gonna hire you an investigator, and they're gonna do more for you than a public defender will. He's like, that's as much as I could tell you. He's like, once you know how much time you got, let me know. You know, there's only so much advice I could give you depending on what you know, he didn't want to give me certain game if I wasn't gonna go to state. I remember him telling me, if you're not gonna go to prison, then I don't. There's no point in me sharing some things, but like, let me know what happens. So that's what I did. I went to court. I remember firing my lawyer, and asking for a state appointed, and that's what they did. And all it really that means is that they both get paid by the state, but the difference is the state appointed is like working towards being a DA, so it's in the best interest to work your case, you know, and like actually work it.
To learn it.
And beat your case, win your case, yeah. And they come with an investigator. With a PI, yeah. So I didn't know that, but so.
Now you knew.
I had the investigator come in the halls and come interview me, and was like, you know, I had crime partners, you know, but I'm over here giving them bogus stories, and I told him straight up, like, look, because he was like, hey, just tell me, like, I'm like, look, like, that's not gonna happen. Just tell me, like, what I'm facing.
Yeah, just get to the freaking point.
Just tell me what I'm facing, and tell me, like, what it looks like for me, and just like, I don't want to go into all that. Like, just tell me what's up. I'm ready to bang it out, write it out. And I remember the first thing he said, he's like, well, look, just know that you're gonna do 10 years off the top. And I was like, what? Hold on, what you mean? Like, what do you mean 10 years off the top? He's like, yeah, because of Prop 21. He's like, and they're hitting you with a gun enhancement. That enhancement is automatic 10 years. And I'm like, so automatically 10 years, like I'm gonna do 10 no matter what. He's like, yeah. And I was like, that's like that was the first hard one to swallow. And I was just like, damn. And I was like, okay, so I'm like, but hold on, like, I'm like, that's not even the crime. Like, I got more time for the enhancement than I did for the actual crime. So it just didn't make sense. So,
and you're small, so
yeah, and you know,
you're not grasping to the.
I was just kind of like do 10 years, like fuck, processing this shit. Like I'm gonna do 10 years, like I'm gonna do 10 years, like I'm gonna do 10 years, and I was just like, damn. And I'm like, so what's the best? He's like, look, this is what we're thinking, because I had gun enhancement. I mean, I had the carjacking, I had the gun enhancement, I had invading the police officer and second-degree robbery because I took to do cell phone. And this is when cell phones were barely coming out, so I was like, I thought I was a shit, like making phone calls. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, man, they got me, and he told me like, look, we're gonna get these 2 charges dropped, and you know the best I could do is 15. So I told him, man, just lock it in. I told him, let's run it. Then I told him, just run it. I didn't want.
What is the max that they gave you, like 25 or something?
They wanted to give me 20 to life at first.
Okay.
They're trying to hit me with 20 to life in Pomona court, and I'm like, what? I'm like, man, get out of here, like. And then they transfer my, and this is in West Covina, and then transfer me to Pomona, and they were just trying to hit me. They're trying to hit me with life, and I'm like, nah, that's not gonna happen.
Did you go to the Did you go on the high speed chase in West Covina?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny that you say that, because they happen to be the same thing, right? Like, I mean, this is not about me, but it's just like kind of like, bro.
Yeah.
I went on high speed chase in West Covina, right? And I only went to court there one time, and then they transferred me.
Yeah.
Come on, is that what they do?
I went one time.
Oh shit! I guess that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I f***ed up because in Covina, I remember they were giving me a better deal, like 18 years or something where it wasn't like crazy. Then I went to Pomona, and they're like, nah, you're facing life.
Yeah, Pomona's crazy.
And I was like, what? I'm like, you tripping? And so it's like I had to really go through a lot of shit to I think God that the homie laced me up with that, because I think that helped me in getting a good deal. And I think 15 was a good deal for the time, for the laws and stuff. Like there was no avoiding it.
And you're obviously when you're young, you're like, oh, that's never gonna come. It's my whole life.
Nah, honestly, like,
or no, you didn't think that way.
I was so used to jail. I was so comfortable in jail, and honestly, like, my life in the streets was like, it was hard. I felt relieved. Like I felt relieved knowing that all right, I'm not. Right, like I was ready.
Did your parents go visit you while you were?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
My mom visited me. My brothers visited me in the beginning. You know, like it was easy, but I mean, after a while, it's like my mom held it down the whole time.
Moms always do.
And my brother held it down. You know, they had their periods where they came and gone.
Yeah,
you know,
but they were there. You have somebody there no matter what.
My mom always banged it out. This is why, like, I love my mama to death.
Yes,
and, you know,
love
like,
that.
You know, like, man, like my mom really, like, you know, I put her through a lot, and this is the reason why, like, for me, that was part of like my big reason why my transformation, like, inspired my transformation was like wanting to come out and give my mom the best version of myself. So I go in at 15. You know, they give me 15. I take the deal. And the first thing that happens when they sentence you, I go back to the halls. I go straight from the county, right? Boom. I get straight to the hole. I went straight to the hole. They didn't even let me go to my room. So I went straight to the hole in juvenile hall. I was there for like a day or two. I remember I was so heartbroken they made me throw away my pictures, man. I was so sad because I had all kinds of pictures and stuff. And when the county dudes came, you know, you hear the shackles and all that fucking metal noise and shit. And you're just like, what's going on? Boom, and shackle you up, you know, and like, I'm like, oh shit, here it comes, you know. So I already knew, and man, they just shackled me up, and I'm just like, here we're going.
You went to actual prison?
Yeah.
With men?
Yes. Oh, let me tell you. Hold on.
Go.
Tell you. So they come. I get sentenced right. I'm there in the halls for 2 days in the hole. They didn't let me go back to. I can't go to. Now I'm an adult. Technically, I'm an adult now.
Yeah, because you're charged as an adult.
So I can't be with the juveniles. So I'm there for 2 days. They come pick me up. They take all my shit. They rape me for all my shit. And it's like, I felt very violated right there. Like, a very, like, just, oh, man, that shit hurt it. Because I had pictures that, I should have never asked for those pictures, man. But I wanted to have pictures that I had.
But it's just how you go, because you're in there, you're fighting your cases, you want your stuff.
Yeah, and I thought I could take them, but nah, it's just
how it goes, unfortunately.
About it. Yeah. They violated. I felt violated because they just, like, nah, you, like, oh, you didn't do this? Boom, nah, it's trash. Like, straight in front of me, threw it in the trash. Pictures of, like, just, oh, man. It made me cry, matter of fact, when I had the time.
It's okay, yeah.
I was like, because I know there was no getting those back. And, but anyways, that transferred me, and I go to the county. And I'm in the county, and because I'm a juvenile, they had me go through, like, this back hallway where I think they transfer a lot of women and, like, PCs and stuff, but they put me in the back, right? So they don't want me in the main hallway with all the adults. And shit.
Because you're really not an adult.
Nah, but they're trying to disguise me and kind of blend me in, but, like, not really. I don't even know, they didn't even have a system for me at the time, for juveniles at the time. They're just trying to fandangle it, like put them over here. So I'm in the back little hallway, and I'm chilling, and I'm just kind of tripping on everybody and tripping on everything. I'm just like, man, that's just crazy. The county was crazy. And then I had a bad experience in the county. I was only there for like 2 months. But like that first day, I'm seeing the sheriffs hemming up a paisa, like I'm up. And I remember banging on the window like, boom, 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 hey, leave him alone. Like, shut the fuck out the window. Like, man, ooh, I'm talking shit. No, they come back, they get me, they hog tie me, and they put me in the main hallway in the benches, and they put me on my stomach, and they tie my ankles to my wrist and behind my back, and they left me like that, I swear to God, for like 5 hours, 6 hours. I was ready to cry just because people were passing. Like, I didn't let myself, but I'll tear up because it was hurting. I thought I thought my arm was gonna get cut off. Like, it was mentally torture, and I would sheriffs would pass by, and I'm like, hey, please a little bit, can you just undo it? And they'll look at it. I remember they'll look at it and they'll be like, I don't know who you pissed off, but I'm not touching that. And they'll just keep pushing. And I remember like people, I built a lot of hate and resentment towards them because of just the way they were treating me. That was unnecessary. You know, like, it was just
got there. You're 16 years old.
Kid, that's how I saw it, but that's why, like, when I was young, I had like a lot of resentment towards adults. I feel like, man, like, you're like you ain't taking care of us. You ain't taking care of me. You ain't looking out for me. Like, I don't know. It was a weird experience, but
that's intense, bro.
So I went through that, and then after that, they finally got me, and they just threw me with the adults, and I'm just right there trying to figure it out. And then eventually, like, they led me to the juvenile module. They had a juvenile module right there at the time. I don't know if they still have it. I think it was in 4600. I think it was in 46. It was it used to be a suicide module. So the single cells, and they had like the tier with a dude they could walk and they could see you, and it was ghosts in that bitch, for real. So I apologize.
Wait, you saw ghosts?
Yeah, they're shadows. Like, it's real. Like, anybody that'll tell you that knows, you'll see the shadows walk by. And I remember thinking to myself, like, damn, like, that's when I'm right there praying, like, God, like, what the is this? Because you'll see the shadows walk by, like, literally walk by. And what I learned about that spot is that, like, they wouldn't put the two back cells, they wouldn't put nobody because they were like haunted, I guess. And that's where you would see the shadows come out of, and just, it was crazy. It was a crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I went through a cell extraction there, where they pulled you out, and like all kinds of shit. Like,
wait, say that again?
A cell extraction.
I don't, tell us what that means.
A cell extraction is when they come and they pull you out, and they mace you and they get you out, they pull you out your cell because I don't know I forgot what was going on at the county at the time where we participated, and they brought us all out.
Okay.
And just hemmed us all up, brought us all out, had us all on our knees for hours, searched our shit, And like I just remember, like, man, it was a mentally spiritual challenge, to not break and not, so it was hard. But I banged it out, right? Boom, boom, boom. I banged it out. And then I had to deal with the ignorance of the homies trying to politic, the kids in the juveniles trying to politic, and just dumb shit I was going through right there with the homies, and I was ready to fight everybody. And then finally my bus came, picked me up, and I went straight to Tehachapi. And
at 16?
At 16, I went to Tehachapi. And I remember pulling up to Tehachapi. It was a long ass drive. I remember pulling up, and I'm just like, damn, like, I'm looking at Tehachapi, and I'm talking about the 180, So I'm pulling up, and I'm like where the buildings at? Like, this shit don't look like buildings, because the cells, the way they're formatted, they just look like these small little compressed little buildings. It didn't look like what I was used to. So I was like, where the cell? Like, where am I gonna be living at? So I was already tripping, like, damn. And as soon as I walk in, like, it's me and a whole bunch of young dudes, We're going to the juvenile module. So the juvenile is called, at the time it was called a YOP. This is why, like, my tag name on Instagram is Youth Offender Prodigy. So I took that Youth Offender and I put Prodigy on it instead of prisoner or because, like, I'm a youth offender, but, like, I feel like I'm also greatness. I've been able to the stuff I feel like I've been able to accomplish is something that someone like me I haven't seen, But that's the example I wanted to leave behind. But I went through that, and you know what? I went through so much humiliation with the police, with the cars there. Like I remember them making us go through the metal detectors and fucking with us, making it beep, and making us squat and cough, and then, like, the adults are all in this. Like, the adults are all there because they stopped us at like a level 2, level 3 right there, and it's just a bunch of open cell, like, with the hose, like, just they could see you, and they had us walking around.
Like kids. The bars vibes?
No. It's like cells. But it's like all around. Like, everybody could see what's going on in the day room.
Got it.
You got a bunch of kids getting escorted, and they're being fucked with us. They're making us get butt naked and walk back and forth and fucking with us and squat and cough type shit. And you see dudes in the window and just laughing, and like I remember like that shit was like, to me was like, man, like it was degrading, and it just made me build a lot of hate towards
adults
and just authority, you know, especially law enforcement. You know, because there are people supposedly in positions to. That's why I always hated the authority, because I never had a pleasant experience.
I agree.
As an adult, you know, and it's like whatever. But I went through that. Finally, I got processed. I went in, and you know, I was right there in the juvenile module in the YLP in Tehachapi, and it was a trip, you know, because I'm right there with all underage, you know, kids that were convicted and I'm talking about, like, I was right there with Andy, the school shooter from San Diego.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I was with him, and he used to get stacks of mail. I remember, like, he used to get stacks of mail, and you know, just I was right there with some other dude who had bashed a sheriff's son head, you know, like for a drug debt, like some crazy stories, crazy dudes, you know, young, and we're all kids, you know, and it was hard because you had dudes that were coming down from YA. And that YA program and that YA
different.
Is a whole different. So in the juvenile, like, you had the dudes that were just, all they knew was county and that county program. So that was me, like more serial, more high power, more you know, with more program and structure. The dudes didn't.
YA babies are out of control.
And I hated the YA babies. To this day, like I hate YA babies. Or reals. Like, anybody be proud of YA, man? Hell nah. Because they was very disrespectful. You know, they were very disrespectful. I was catching face every day because someone was trying to, like, you know, they're trying to turn you out, you know, like, that's their little thing, trying to turn you out. Hey, you know, sass you, disrespectful homies. And I'll hear dudes talk like that, and I'll be like, what the f***? And I'll be expecting them to fight, and I'm like, what the f***? So I started understanding what these fools were on, and I'm like, all right, like, so I started separating myself, and then we amongst ourselves started kind of, like, you know, organizing ourselves, like all the homies that didn't play that and the homies that want to be playing that go over there.
Yeah.
It kind of became like our own little, where it's like, all right, you want to with us, or you know, so, you know, it was.
I understand what you're saying.
It was like that. We were like our little internal politics as far as like what we're willing to accept and what we're not. And if you're on this side, you're on this side. But there was a lot of people who were stuck in the middle, who were not affiliated. They weren't really with it, so they would get punked and spin on, and their shit took, and like, just disrespectful shit. Like,
by the YA babies.
And I feel bad. I used to feel bad, you know, and it got to the point where I remember, like, me and the homie were talking. I'm like, you know what, dog? Like, someone, I remember, I'm gonna get at these fools the next day. I'm not fighting, because I used to fight every day. Like, every day, someone just because someone said or let it slip out or something. Every day, and we used to have 5-minute unlocks where they open the door for 5 minutes, and we're running phase all day. And I remember I told all the fools from YA, the next disrespects me, I'm gonna stab you. And sure enough, some dude, I'm not gonna say his name, but he and I'm like, I already had a knife. I came up on a knife. That's why I told him that. So I'm like, I got a knife. Like, I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna scare him. Hell nah. So I felt pressure to go in there and have to poke him. So I went in and I poked his ass. But I mean, you know, I hit him like 2-3 times. It's nothing to where I was still a kid too, you know. So it's like, but it was just to prove my point, and it did, and it kind of changed things a little bit. But you know, like, for me, yeah. But soon after that, I caught a shoe term right there, you know, and I did my first shoe term. So after that, I turned 18 and hit the main line right there.
Okay, and how was that after? Because you were there for like 2 years.
I was there for 2 years, and I turned 18, and because I caught a shoe term as a juvenile, I went straight to the adult main line. I was supposed to be a level 3, but because I caught a shoe term, they maxed me out and made me level 4, so I went and hit the main line. And when I hit the main line, like, honestly, because it was in Tehachapi, and the juveniles had a bad reputation on the yard.
Oh, no.
Causing problems, you know, like, for up. And we used to program with, not together, but they used to be norteños right there, you know. And so every now and then we'll catch them slipping, and there'll be a little baby riot, you know, 2-on-3.
The kids with the adults.
Yeah. No, it was just kids on kids. I'm talking about norteños, juveniles too.
Okay, get it. You know what I mean? I got it.
So we would cause a lot of problems for the yard. And so when I hit the yard, they weren't happy to have an 18-year-old youngster hitting the yard, you know. And these are all level 4
men,
Quintero men, you know,
lifers,
like, straight mafioso, like, for reals. So they didn't play that, you know. And I had to understand. That's why I understood, like, everything was like level of respect that I never saw. Like, we would go on lockdown. You know, the homies would tell you, like, hey, if we go on lockdown, fucking on lockdown, make sure you check up on them, you know, offer them coffee, soups, you know, like, look out for your neighbors. Like, that's how I was. That's how I was, you know. My first impression of prison was respect, the utmost respect for everybody, all races. And I understand it now, because they're all lifers, you know. They ain't going nowhere, so they have to
live with everybody forever.
You know, they have to have some type of, you know, structure as far as how they live, and it's difficult to navigate that when you have people coming through who are here for a little bit and they want to disturb the program that you guys have worked hard to do and are comfortable. So a lot of people don't know, but you're walking into a pack of wolves that you don't want to be. Like, you don't understand how you're affecting their lives and their lifestyles.
Because they're in there for life. You're just fucking here for 5 minutes.
And I've seen unfortunately, I've seen a lot of dudes that, had to find out the hard way. And these dudes are not playing. So I learned quick,
They're not playing.
So I spent total 5 years right there in Tehachapi. And then from there I went to Calipatria. Right before they had that big riot in 2005, I think it was. They had a big riot. It changed the whole culture there. But when I got there, that was another culture shock, because that was like more active. People were getting stabbed every day. Like every day. I'm talking about every day. I never seen that. Every day someone was getting stabbed, sometimes twice a day. And in Tehachapi, someone gets stabbed, we're on lockdown for like a month. I go to Calipatria, someone gets stabbed, pick them up out the yard, resume.
Nothing.
So that to me was like, damn, like
normal.
It was just kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on right here. Okay. As soon as I got there, they're offering you a knife. Like, what kind of knife you want? Like, it was just turned up. It was turned up like to the max. And you had young dudes running around, running shit. You had all the dudes that were running it, really running it. Were out the gatos in the cell. They didn't come out, so they would have the youngsters doing other little. It was just all bad.
Oh yeah, that is all bad.
Yeah, but that was when I was on C yard. But I went to B yard. It was different. So it was more like structured. B yard was like the Pentagon over there. That's what the homies in Tehachapi had told me. Like, hey, go to B yard. Like, you don't want to end up in no other yard. So I made sure I went to B yard. So I finally made it to B yard, and then that riot happened. We went on lockdown for like 2 years. But during
shit.
Yeah. So it was like literally a whole year where we didn't program for a whole year.
So what would you do? Did you have a celly?
That's the best time. Honestly, that's the best time, because I started studying. Like,
I was about to say that.
I was studying every day. I was studying every day. I used to read. One thing about me, I read every day. I study every day, 2-3 books. I journal. I used to journal.
Journaling is good.
Yeah, that's how I would learn about myself. Like, I would go back and look at my writings and stuff that I did like years ago, and I would be like, damn, I would be able to measure how far I've grown from that perspective and just that moment and that whatever emotion, wherever I was writing from, I would be able to reflect and be like, damn, like I grew so much from that. And so that's kind of like became a pattern in my life. As I grew over it would let me know how far I've been, or whether I'm still the same. If it's nothing,
because you didn't get high.
Nah.
Oh, good.
I was very high power. I was a high power ass dude. Like, people that know me, they'll tell you, like, I was loked up, always with lokes, and always like on some high power shit. And I didn't play that. Like, I was really about
you,
my program. Yeah, and I hated politics. I despised the politics there, because I saw the ins and outs of it, the good and the bad, and I never liked it, But
well, it's not for everybody, and
it's not for everybody. I mean, eventually, of course, I tempered in it.
Well, you have to, kind of, to an extent.
I hated it. I avoided it. I stood away as far as possible. But I saw how necessary it is, and how the role that it plays is just that, just the people who are put in places is just, we're not the right people. Maybe, I think,
at the time,
my experiences, that's why I had bad experiences with people,
okay.
But yeah, that's how it was. But I got a job right there too as a law library clerk, and that kind of changed a lot for me, and it prepared me for a lot of what happened. I ended up doing in the future, because I started studying law, and I started going to the law library. Right? I'm a clerk now, so we're on lockdown. Homies are on lockdown. I'm the only one moving, coming out. Going to the law library, and I'm moving around. I'm knowing what's up. I'm having access to shit, and not just that, but like, I'm tapping in with the homies in the hole who are coming, because the homies from the hole would come. So, and I knew the staff real good, so I'm going in there, I'm chopping it up, I'm sending wheelouts to court and something.
You're doing your thing.
I'm doing my thing, and I'm saying work. I'm like, I'm getting brownie points right there, like, for reals.
But this one didn't want to dab in.
I knew what it was.
Choice.
I knew what it was, and I'm like, hey, you're going over here. I'm like, hey, look, boom, send this over here, boom, boom, like, just boom. Hey.
You're doing your shit.
Yeah, I'm like,
you have to do what you have to do.
I already know what the program is, So I'm like, I'm in this position. I'm like, look, send this care package over here to who? The mesa. Like, it wasn't for nobody, just on my behalf, like, so. Like, I was very big on that, and I was saying all kinds of shit, because I had a juice like that. But you know what? I remember there was a homie that came that was working very hard for his law. He was a lawyer, a lifer. And I remember he like kind of confronted me. It was like, hey, bro, no offense, but like you're a law library clerk, and like you don't know shit about law. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so what? Homie, like, what the fuck? What's your problem? Like, what? He's like, nah. Like, he didn't want no problems, but he's like, it's just like, there's like, I wouldn't mind having your job, so I could work on my case all day, every day. Like, I gotta sign up. So it made me think about my role and my position and what I was doing there, because I was just kind of like having fun in that role.
Plus, you're a kid still.
Well, at that time, I'm already like what? 21, 22.
You're young.
I'm young, but I mean, I had already done 6
Yes,
years in prison.
yes,
You know?
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not so young. I'm not too young.
Yeah,
So
mentally
no,
you're not.
I'm not. And when he did that, and when he said that, honestly, like, it made me feel some type of way, like, because it was true, and I would see these dudes going to the law library fighting, you know, like for the
Kind of felt like a little like.
I just felt like, damn, because they would come, hey, you know how to do this form, and I'm like, nah. So I would always tell the other clerks, hey, help them out. I just wouldn't do shit.
You're just doing you're just bullshitting.
Yeah, not bullshitting, but like bullshitting. Yeah,
Yeah, having fun.
having fun.
Killing your day.
Yeah, I was right there flirting with the staff. I'd be chilling with her in the office and shit. And everybody's doing the work. But, you know, he really challenged me like that. And I started studying, you know, and I'm like, I didn't know where to start. And I remember talking to, you know, my coworker. His name's New York. He was like this little beagle-ass dude. He was a black dude. He was from New York. You know, he wasn't even from Cali. And I started telling him, like, hey, look, I really want to learn. Like, I don't want to just be here. I want to help my people. Like, how, like, where can I start? He's just like, look, just learn the common forms that people ask for, petitions, you know, the habeas corpus, the appeal forms, and then you know, learn the books, the common books, the legal dictionary, the black law dictionary, you know, like the penal codes, learn the difference between this and that and that. And so that's what I started doing. I started just studying that, you know, and eventually, like, all right, then I started jumping into law, and the best thing for me was like, you know, I'm gonna look into my case. I start looking at my charges, like, and I start reading on it.
To start off.
Yeah, just to start it. And then honestly, like, the more that I started learning and the more knowledge that I started acquiring and understanding of the law and how it works and how it's just a different language. And I started looking at my case and studying my case and understanding my case and what happened in my case. I feel like that was the first time where I felt sorry for myself. Like, damn, like they did me like that. Because I'm studying the law and I'm looking at the laws and I'm like, damn.
Hey, why didn't they use this word instead of using this word?
Man,
Kind of
like, yeah, it's just like damn, like this is up. Like, you know, I felt bad for myself and people in my situation because it's like, and I was like, you know what? So I was just like, you know, I just got a better understanding of the penal code system and how it works and how these little things would just add 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, and you know, like just these little things that people don't know about.
Yeah, like certain words.
Yeah, like, and it's true, you know. So I started studying, and I actually like really got, you know, I actually started looking at and getting deeper into like, all right, like what affected, like what like where did it all stem from? So it's like you start paying attention to the campaigns, like the Prop 21, and the initiatives that they were trying to push, and the, you know, it was basically the attack on the minority community, I feel. You know, because what they did with the Prop 21, they removed all kinds of young men and they disturbed a lot of people's homes, you know. Mm-hmm. They both grown and young adults, you know, especially in the minority community. We were removed and we were placed in the criminal justice system. We were placed in the you know, and it's a business, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like it was done for business. And
definitely.
And I feel like I was just cattle, you know, because you start learning how much they pay and how much, you know, each inmate gets and how much, you know, you start learning all these things and you're just like, these people, man. People. And so, you know, like that right there really gave me like a better understanding of the legal system and how, like, I didn't take it as a joke no more, like. Mm-hmm. And I got so honestly, I got so educated in it. I started appealing certain things in the prison.
Which is cool.
I started filing. I'm like, let me practice this shit that I'm learning, you know. So I started appealing. I remember we were on lockdown and we were on lockdown for a while for some bullshit. And I know because I'm studying the policies and the laws and the Title 115. I'm like, we're not supposed to be on lockdown. Like, this is already an isolated city. Now this is just punishment. Why are they letting the whites and the blacks out programming? Like, that means that it's already, like, there's nothing. We're just being held down.
Just because.
So I start filing, you know, and I had this black dude that was helping me and shit. Like, he had his, I would make copies of people's shit. Like, people make, like, appeal forms, like, legal, like, smart to make, like, appeal forms, and I'll make copies of it, and I'll keep it, and I'll study it, and I'll just change the language, and I'll just replace things that I wanted, like, so that's how I kind of, like, you know, I started getting into it, and it
you
worked.
were making it you.
I swear to God, it worked. I had the homies, boom, that same, as soon as my appeal went, the lieutenant called me. He's like, what's this? I'm like, you know what it is. He's like, explain this. I'm like, I don't gotta explain nothing. I said, you know what it is. I said, honestly, I'm just, you could deny it, whatever. I'm already ready to go to court. I'm already, like, I'm trying to do due process, you know, just let's follow the steps. And he saw that I knew, and he knew that I worked in the library. So he's like, look, I'm gonna grant it, but I want you to rip it in front of me. I'm like, so what you mean by grant it? He's like, I'm gonna release you guys are gonna, you know, get programmed. I told him full program, no, yeah. I'm like, I need that on a memo. I need a memo. Like, I'm not gonna
write it down, fool.
I need a memo. I need something that, like, Bruno something. And he did it, and I ripped it, and the homies programmed the next day, and I was telling the homie, like, damn, dog, I did that shit. That shit pumped
Yes.
me up. So it's like, it did give me like this sense
Confident.
of like, it did. And also the power of knowledge, for reals. Because the black dude always tell us like, man, you Mexicans is done. You guys could have been doing lawsuits and you could be suing them for this and suing them for that. And he showed me like settlements that he got. He straight up told me he'll get locked up just to file lawsuits against because they're always messing up. They're always violating someone's constitutional right. And he had lawsuits up to like 80 racks that he had got already of settlements from.
That was down, huh? That will go to jail.
He just knows the system,
Yeah.
If you know the system, you know how to manipulate the system,
Yeah.
He would get him. And so I learned a lot. And that really was that time was very educational for me and very like, I feel like that was a moment for me where I matured a lot too. And then from there I went to Ironwood and I was in Ironwood for like 3 years. It was cool. It was more like chill, relaxed. And then I went out of state.
You worked out through the whole time? Did you work out?
Oh, man, though.
Okay.
I was, if you see my pictures when I was just skinny, cut up, I was like, I remember I used to lock it in front of the
You just had a flashback?
There used to be this like pull-up bar right in front of the nurse's office.
Oh, hell no.
So I would always make sure that like I snatched that bar up early in the morning because I was a porter, so I would always come out early. I'll snatch because everybody want to go to that bar, so I'll be at that bar. I'll lock it in and I just like, because they'll be right there outside looking, and they'll come out, and that shit will pump me up, so I'll be right there gay and they just, and that was very motivational. That was my motivation right there for a while. You got to find motivation. Even when we're on lockdown, like the staff on the tower, and Calipatria, like there's holes on the mirror. So I'll be right there doing upside down push-ups and trying to do the most, trying to see if she's looking.
Hey, but you have to do what you have to do.
I'm trying to just get a smile. Like I'll be happy if she just looks and smiles or something, and like
that makes your day.
It'll make my day, and I'm bragging to everybody like she wants me. That's like that's just like everybody's lost in their fantasies.
Of course.
So I'm over there fantasizing and shit. So, but
swearing you're in a relationship.
I swear she wants me. I'll be telling homies like, hey, don't be getting out of my girl, dog. Like, cause she really liked me. She popped the door. I'll be like, hey, can I go just use my juice card and just to flex on foods? Like, ladies, get your door popped. Like, nah, she won't pop your shit. Like, so like, like I used to love that. I used to love that shit.
Yeah.
I used to love that.
That's cool. It's cool. You're there. You're doing what you need to do.
I made it fun. My time was fun. My time at no way was ever like depressing. Like, it was an experience, it was a journey. It was a learning. I feel like it saved my life in some aspects.
Yes.
But also like it gave me the time to reflect and the time to grow and because of the people and because of what I chose to do and because of the work that I decided to put into myself and understanding that like at some point I'm a parole and I'm gonna get out and I don't want to get out and be a dumbass.
I love that.
I need to apply myself, and so I started applying myself to just reading, studying, and I was very spiritual. So I was getting into I studied apologetics. I got into hermeneutics. I would get into these debates with different, religious leaders on the yard because I was questioning my faith. So I'm questioning everybody's faith, and I wanted to see what their argument was. What was their position on this? What was the position on that? And after a while, like I felt like that's a never-ending debate.
Never.
At the end of the day,
it's you.
What I realized, what I've learned, and what I apply and how I build my life is that there's underlying principles in every religion, every faith. There's underlying principles as far as the way you should carry yourself, moral conduct and stuff like that. And all of them have some underlying principles. If you pay attention, they all share the same, principles. So I just took those principles and I kind of just built my own understanding and my own faith. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious. I don't associate myself with no religious group. But I do, there are things that like I feel like Christianity shares or preaches that I do feel, like I relate to. There's things in Buddhism that I relate to.
I know exactly. I know exactly what you say. Like you're like everything in one.
Yeah.
I'm like me. I always say I'm everything in one.
Yeah, I am, and you know what I am, and like I feel like I do believe that like the temple of God is within you. And,
that's right.
I feel like at the end of the day, you are the church. When you think about when I sit down and pray, like that's really me dedicating that time to myself, to believe in what it is that I'm putting out there. Like whatever our prayer it is, like no one's listening, so I'm really speaking to myself. So if I'm not believing what I'm praying, then what kind of real effect does it have? But if I'm really believing in what I'm praying and believing that whatever force is out there that's really going to manifest this is really going to respond to my prayers, I feel like we manifest that ourselves, you know, just by practicing faith. You know, you got to have faith in what you pray. If not, then you're fooling yourself, you know.
Faith is everything.
People go to church and I see people go to church and they feel like just because they showed up to church, like that's supposed to be like,
no.
That to me is funny. Like,
I know what you mean.
As soon as you leave church, you're going to the bar and you're doing some ratchet shit or you're doing some shit you're not supposed to. Like, it's a false sense of spirituality to me, and that's because they follow religion, not faith.
I know what you're saying.
Religion. So I feel like a lot of people get it confused and it's misleading to them. And, you know, sometimes they get bad experiences and they fall off. They're like, they turn their back on God. And it's like,
it's not God. God is everything. Did
that. That's your own ignorance.
So, like, and I feel like, I know this is like a religion kind of little topic, but I'm like, I'm with it. I like religion, spiritual topics. It's like my thing.
Nah, I'm very big on that.
You know, it's my thing. All of the religions, all spiritual people believe in one. They all believe in something.
Yeah.
They all have a name. They don't have a name, but I feel that God is a spirit. Like, it's not a human.
Yeah.
Jesus is the human. Yeah. So it's like that force that people don't have a name for. I think it's God.
Yeah, no, and it is.
You know, I believe and I genuinely have faith in that.
And you know what? I could tell you this much from my experience, that I would pray. Like, I would pray and God would come through for me.
Facts.
And like, that's what built my faith up to where it's like, there was a time out here in the streets when I was like, man, I feel like I lost myself. I'm fucking up. I'm doing things. And I'm like, I was just like, man, what was I doing in there that I'm not doing out here that's not getting me? Like, I don't feel like I'm on path where I'm supposed to be. Like, what the fuck?
I love that you say that.
When I really sat down with myself, because I'm like a realist too, you know, like I sit down with myself, I be real with myself.
I don't
fool myself.
Yeah.
I won't fool myself, you know, like, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't really practiced any of my spiritual practices that I do, things that I do. I haven't read. I haven't meditated the way I used to. I haven't, because I would meditate.
Because that's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't meditate, but I understand. Like, just given that time.
No, I would meditate. And actually after prayer, I would just meditate and I would just sit there with myself, and I would just do these little practices for myself, for my own well-being that I wasn't doing out here because of the distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I felt like I was no longer walking in the spirit. Like in the spiritual.
This is after when you got out.
After I got out, and like there was a moment in time where I feel like I was walking in the spirit, and I was walking in the spirit when I got out. Like I was in the spiritual realm. Like my spirit was leading me everywhere, and anything I was doing was spiritual. And then at some point, it was like that bubble got burst, and everything I was doing was worldly shit. It was no longer in the spirit realm. I was in the worldly shit, materialistic shit, where it's like things that didn't matter, you know, and that's the world, you know, that's the world out here, and it's like. I feel like that's what happened. The world bursted my little spirit, my little bubble in my spiritual room that I was, because I started putting myself out there more in the world too.
But you have to, because you're in the world.
Well,
okay, so let's take it back. Let's take it back before we fucking get caught up.
I get deep into this shit.
So you're in Ironwood.
Yeah.
How many years have you already been in when you get to Ironwood?
Ironwood. By the time I got to Ironwood, I had already done 8 years.
Okay, so you're almost more than half.
I was about halfway through.
Yeah.
I have 15, so I'm about halfway through. And I was there for 3 years. It was cool. Ironwood was mellow. It was just like whatever. It was just like a pass through, whatever. But that's my first kind of like where I realized like now I'm like more experienced, more mature, more, you know, where I'm like, all right, I'm coming into a younger crowd. I'm no longer the kid. That's where I felt like I'm no longer the kid here. Like before, I've always been the kid everywhere I went. Even in Calipatria, like I was still kind of the kid. But like, not the kid, but still the kid.
Yes.
But when I went to Ironwood, I'm talking about 18 years old, and I'm already 20, by that time, I'm like, 20, 24, 25. You know, I'm already older, you know, so it's like all these 18, 19-year-old kids were pulling up, and I was gravitating to them, and they're gravitating to me because I was still kind of like young spirit.
Because you were still that person when you were 15 years old, when you first got, and that's kind of like the people say, oh, this fool's stuck in his ways when he was 16. Well, he can't help that. Yeah. That's all he knew when he went in.
Yeah, and I was, you know, like I was like, I feel like that's Omar. I feel like Omar was a 16-year-old kid, and Chino was I built up Chino in prison.
And
I built Chino as a man, the person he had to be to survive that. Like I built him up, and I made sure that he was better than the next man.
Yeah.
You know, and like intelligent-wise, spiritual-wise, like on every aspect, you cannot. You know, like you may be stronger than me, but spiritually, like I'll break you. You know what I mean? Like you won't be able to hang with me. And that to me was like something that was embedded in me early, you know, in my time. So this is why I worked in all these areas in my life to protect myself and keep myself better than the next man.
Yes.
Reals, because
So when you got to Ironwood and now you're the older Chino at 24, 25, you're seeing these 18-year-olds.
And I'm active. I'm active. I'm like, what's up? I'm like, freedom. You know, like they have a baseball field. I'm not used to none of that. So it was like, I felt
so
like
how did that
it was a relief.
Okay.
Because I feel like Calipatria, Tehachapi was a lot of pressure to program a certain type of way.
Okay.
Tehachapi was a certain standard that is expected every day. Calipatria, there's a certain pressure you live with because of the
animosity and all the jail stuff, the jail
tension
stuff,
and just the aggression that was there, and just the people who are really trying to prove themselves, you know, and trying to make it to a 180. And I'm coming from a 180, you know, so it's like these dudes they're still trying to work their way up. I just happen to start from the top to the bottom.
Okay.
These dudes are starting from the bottom to the top.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
So
I see what you're saying.
In understanding and program wise. So when I got a Ironwood, like I was just kind of pressed. You know, I participated. That's when the first time I participated, you know, in like, you know, there was nobody in my block that would really, you know, so I was asked, and I knew the homies, so I'm like, look, dog, like, all right, whatever. And I did a good job. Like I had my shit smooth. I know how to program, and I know how to make people program, you know.
Well, because you started when you were 18 years old.
Yeah, well, 16.
16 technically,
you know?
yeah.
So it's like, I know how to program, and, you know, so, you know, like, it was simple. Follow the rules, homie. Just respect it. Have a program.
Respect.
Just program. Just know how to program. Simple. Just program. You know, this is the program. Follow the program, and that's it. You start doing things out of the program, then you get the program and just deal with the consequences of that. And that's
Facts.
it. You want to be your own man. You want to be a badass. Handle it.
And it's just, you know what? And those are the simple rules, even in the real world.
You want to be that dude. Handle it. Just deal with what comes with that. And
that's just.
And it's that simple.
Even
like,
in la casa, even inside the house, like in our home, like your home, like with our kids, like, oh, you do that, well, you're gonna get fool.
Do it, yeah. Do it, but just know what's gonna come with that, and that's it. Like be you know, own up to it. Don't cry later on like a pussy and
weenie ass fool.
Accept it, accept that shit and be like, yeah, this is what I wanted. All right, cool. I respect that. If you trying to put your chest out and do the most, and then you're gonna disappoint me, my boy, because you're just making me us go through all of this for what? Yeah, exactly. So you can mark yourself out.
Yeah. All this doesn't like all of you.
Mark yourself out. You're setting yourself up to mark yourself out, my boy. Like, don't do that.
I love that.
So
yeah.
I would. I feel like at that time I was very much too like big brother to a lot of young dudes. So, you know, it was just kind of cool. And then from there, I feel like it started getting too hot for me. Like, I'm like, man, because I was putting myself out there, you know, and I'm like, damn. You know, people like they're hitting my house. The IGI is telling me like, man, who? Because I was clean cut. Like I'm not out there like all dun 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 dun. I'm throwing them off. Like I'm playing. You know.
Segundo.
I'm playing it smooth. You know, like for reals. Because that's why I stopped getting tattoos. That's why you don't see me with no tattoos, active tattoos, because I start studying. I start studying the law, and I start studying the indictment. I mean the validation packet, and they came out with the new policy.
Well, tell us about the validation packet.
So the validation packet at the time, they had came out with this new policy.
And you learned this in the law room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I learned it as it came out. They had this new validation packet where if you got caught with 3 different identified you as you know, there's 3 different criteria that you had to get validated, and it was like self-identification. I think it was one, like having someone's information or contact or some shit. There's 3 different things that you had to. One of them was self-identify. You had to like have something. I forgot
a certain
exactly
tattoo
what it was.
or whatever.
Yeah. But so like certain tattoos, you know. So I stopped getting them. I stopped getting tattoos. I stopped getting the campo. I was gonna get all that, and I'm like, I cut it out because of what I know I was doing, you know. So when I would see dudes get that, and I know that I'm like, homie, like you just want to get out of here. So I understood that when people be like, well, I got validated. I'm like, homie, I did my time on the yard, homie, and I did the same thing. I participated too. So, you know, what was your excuse for getting caught up? Oh, you got the campo on your face. Oh, no wonder you got validated, homie. And it's easier to do time in the shoe with one person to deal with when now you're not programming as a whole. Now you're by yourself. Like literally walk along.
Not doing shit.
Yeah, homie. Like,
of course you got
there's no honor in that. There's no respect in that.
Yeah, you definitely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. So it's like, unless you know, you're not going to know like those type of things.
Oh, that's pretty cool to know.
The people that run the show, they know, I mean, this about to let himself get validated, or this about to let himself get snatched up.
Ah.
You know, if I'm in the game and I know that this is getting real, I could easily go do the component or put a picture right here, and I know they're gonna come hit me. I may even drop a kite on myself. Let them come hit me there. You know, like They would do that. I know dudes that have done that, you know?
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, people don't know, but that was like a way of
Getting out of the...
getting out without getting out and still being, I got snatched up, someone snitched on me. Mm-hmm. Okay, homie, you go with that, run with that.
Oh, wow.
That's some shit that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, no, I never even heard that.
Because unless you're in that position, you don't know.
For sure.
People were doing that. That's why you see a lot of people with the campo and all that, homie. Like, you want to get validated. You want to get snatched up. And a lot of people, too, they just want to say, I got validated. I was validated. But, like, the way I was raised is, like, you're no benefit validated.
Exactly. For sure. I've heard that before, though.
So you're worthless. And, like, so you getting validated, it was just your stupidity or your ignorance.
Like, you're not helping the cause.
You're no longer, like, what the fuck are you good for, homie? You know, like, I was on the yard, so best believe, like, I'm
all happy listening to this. They're probably like, it's the truth. Shit. Yeah.
Nah, but it's the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I was participating, I was active, and I was, you know, like, I was an asset. You know, and a lot of how I moved and how I took care of myself, you know, like my interests and stuff like that. Like people recognize that and they knew that about me. And I think that's how I start knowing, like, man, this fool's like, he's on top of his shit. Like, so I had to stop a lot of things, you know, just to avoid getting caught up. But they were hitting my pad right there in Ironwood a lot. And they told me, like, hey, because they were tripping out, like, because I would be casual. I'd go to church, chapel, like playing college kid. I'm over there trying to play it off. Like,
you're doing your shit.
Regular dude. And they'll hit my pad. They're like, why we getting kites all the time? I'm like, I don't know, man. So I was like, after a while, I'm like, you know what? One of the nurses that I was flirting with, I used to flirt with, she had got me, because they were trying to send me out of state. So she had like this little chrono where I can't go out of state.
Oh, she's down, huh?
Yeah. I had people on the team.
Nurses.
I had people on the team. I had nurses and like staff on the team throughout my time, and like good relationships and good.
Because you're a good guy.
I'm a good guy, you know? I am. I was a good guy. You know, I really was. I was very respectful. You know, I was very respectful. I really, like me. I was very big on holding myself up to a high standard.
You have to. Your name,
myself.
Your name and you is everything.
You know, so
can't let another man fucking take you down.
That. Like, yeah, you better not speak on me because I'm at your doorstep. Like, I'm gonna see you. Like, that's like. But I never really dealt with that. You know,
because you carried yourself correctly.
And I was very respectful with all races. And you know, like, if anything, I dealt with more problems with my raza because I was so respectful with other razas and I got along, and they wanted that same attention from me, and I didn't give it to them. You know, so some fools will feel some type of way, like, why you hugging up? I'm like, homie, because I respect them, homie. Like, who you gonna tell me who to respect and who to acknowledge on the yard? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not gonna tell me the reglas or what's up, what's wrong. I know.
Yeah.
And I have every right to acknowledge this man, and if I want to hug him, I could hug him, give him a hug, homie. You know, just because I wasn't acknowledging a lot of people, and they hated that when I wouldn't acknowledge them or go shake their hand. Like, they hated that shit.
But you know your shit.
I knew my shit. Yeah, you can't come. Let me run my program. Don't come on my program.
Yeah.
You don't want to come on my program because I'm yours. You know, that was my motto. Like, don't come on my program because the minute you come on my program, then you give me a reason to hit you, and you don't want to come because I'm gonna hit you with some shit that you wasn't expecting. You know, like,
your face.
I'm just saying because for
sure.
It's the truth. Like, I don't like getting like that. You know, like, I don't like getting aggressive like that because then the pintero in me comes out. You know, like that the savage mode comes out, and you know, and it's like I don't like having to divert back to that to you know, resolve something. I should be able to talk to you as I'm talking to you, and we should be able to come to an understanding.
Because we're men.
Because I'm grown man. Like, that's the shit I'm on, you know. But if that's
what you want to be,
if that's what you need, you know, and if you're worth giving it to, cause I don't give it just to anybody. Yeah. Then, you know, like, I don't want to give nobody bragging rights to be like, yeah.
No, but that's not even that. Like, that's like you. Like, bro, you're not that serious.
I don't give. Keep it pushing. I'm not gonna give people my time.
Exactly.
You know, but
yeah.
So from there, I went out of state.
Oh, so you did end up going to out of state? Yeah,
so I asked her to remove that chrono because I was like, man, I'm getting hot. I'm going to get validated. Like, I felt like it's just too much. They kept hitting my pad, you know, and I'm like, okay, we went out of state, and I went out of state, and I went to Arizona for a year. I was in Arizona for 2 years. I was in Red Rock for 1 year, and then I went to La Palma for 1, and then I got in a situation right there, a little power struggle. Not even a power struggle, just some dude tried to trip, you know, so they ended up getting caught up and ended up going to the hole and snitching on me. So they not validated me, but they removed me from the yard and transferred me to Mississippi.
To Yazoo or what? Not Yazoo, but ¿cómo se dice?
Tutwiler.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So I went to Mississippi. Mississippi was a trip. Mississippi was a trip. I was only there a year, but I went through so much in Mississippi, and a lot of people know me from Mississippi because I was like, you know, I ended up getting there. I snatched up the yard. You know, like, I had to clean it up. It was like a big old project. I feel like that was put on me, and I took my responsibility serious, you know, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I did that, though. Like, I did it because I did that. I did that in Mississippi, and I was able to establish something that was beneficial for a lot of people because
after you left.
Before that, honestly, like people were getting hurt, because of the ignorance, because of
for the not knowing,
and just because of the just intimidation and just the tactics that people use, to stay in power. Like I wasn't about that. Like I'm more of a, just program, homeboy. Like you program, just you gotta know how to program. It's not. I'm not gonna take nobody as a threat. So I really went over there. Like I did a big change right there, but it lasted a year. I went through a lot of shit right there. And then eventually they snatched me up too right there. And I remember I wanted to stay because I had that shit sold up. I was making so much money. I was like in a month, I was making like 20 racks a month.
Damn.
Yeah, like I was balling. And I didn't even know what to do with it. Like I didn't at the time, like I had a gang of phones and stuff and I'm getting paid, but I'm like, at the time we were using
the green dot?
The green dot. But then the green dot, like I stopped taking payments of $50. Like I had to be 500 and up because after so many transactions, your shit gets canceled.
Yeah.
You gotta go through this. So I'm like, man, so I stopped doing that.
So what years was this?
This was already closer to me. This is like in 2013, when I was in Mississippi.
Okay.
2013. And I feel like I made history right there with a lot of shit I was doing. because like my mind was already like on some other shit, like, and I made history like in what I was able to establish there, and the people that know. Because it changed a lot of like what I ended up seeing, what ended up transferring, like what I created there, kind of like
stood, and that's how the rules that they're following.
In Cali, like when I got back to Cali, like a lot of things that I implemented, that's how I look at things. Like shit that I implemented there were adopted by the homies, and they were
okay.
They were
that's cool.
And then they came back to Cali
because it worked.
And not only that, but everybody was able to eat, and everybody was able to program with no problems, with none of this. Everybody was able to eat. So there was a system that I established, and it worked, and it was good for everybody because there was less violence, there was less animosity, less, less, people being affected and families being, tarnished because of that culture and that lifestyle. So that was my goal, to create, towards minimize the ignorance and violence amongst each other, So I feel like I did that.
So where did you parole from?
I paroled from, so after Mississippi, so they snatched me up, right? And I was going through a big situation right there, like where I'm like, I had a phone and I'm like, damn, I need to have my phone with me. Like it's like hot item, like Hot Wheeler type shit. Like I need that shit. So I'm like, damn, I'm about to transfer to Arizona. It's like a I forgot, like 2-day ride bus. And I'm like, damn, I need to take this phone. So I didn't eat for like a day and a half, just empty on my stomach. And I'm like, boop, I had to go. So I'm like, I took it with me. And that was like a survival moment, like having to go through that. But I did it, and I got to Arizona, and sure enough, I needed it. And I made a phone call, and just like that one phone call, God works in crazy ways, because that one phone call was all I really needed to use it for. But then, like, right after that, I go to yard, and I had it stashed in a speaker box, like in the speaker where you talk in the microphone. And they came back from the yard, and that shit was gone. And I'm like, what the fuck? But I never admitted to it, or they never wrote me up or nothing. They didn't even give me a cell search, so I was able to beat that. But, it's just like shit like that I had to go through. So I was in Arizona for like a month. I remember I had my hair long. I was growing my hair. I wanted to parole and donate my hair. But when I was there, through that one time, I was there for like a month and a half. Man, they didn't give me no soap, no nothing. Like that whole yard was, at the time, I think Norteños were in the yard, so we were just on Nasdaq, like as a passerby. We didn't have no love right there. So my hair started getting all thick and just like froey, and just like it was irritating the shit out of me. So I just ended up shaving it off. And that bothered me, because I really wanted to come out. I have a little brother who survived. He's a leukemia, survivor. So to me, I always wanted to do that before I got out. So that I didn't fulfill my promise to myself to do that. I feel like at some point I still want, but I feel like I'm too old for that already. Like I'll just donate some money or something. But I really wanted to do that, so that was something I was doing. So my hair was long. I had long hair, and like in Mississippi, nothing but Black people from they love my hair. They wanted to have my baby and all kinds of shit. I'm like, nah, like, watch out. Watch out. Because I had long hair, and they'll always want to touch my hair, and like, because I take care of my hair. I had good hair. I had my hair.
Yeah, you had a good hair at the time.
Well, at the time, like, my hair was very, like, I took care of it. Like,
No,
I took it serious.
I
put,
believe
hair
you.
cream, and I had my shit
You're
smooth.
hilarious.
I wish I still had it, but I remember tripping on how the staff used to treat me with my hair.
Hey, so through all these years, did you ever have like pen pals? Because you had phones as well. Like,
Yeah, so-
tell me about that. Look at your face. That's terrible.
So the crazy thing about it is, like, I went through a few prison relationships, you know, and the crazy thing about it is that, about that, and I don't feel like I don't see too many people talk about that, but I feel like I learned to connect with people because I had real deep connection relationships with people, and it was not on a physical. It was more of like a very spiritual, mental, emotional level that I haven't been able to connect with people out here because I feel like out here you're so caught up in the physical that you don't give yourself time to tap into the physical, spiritual, the emotional.
Just you.
Just you really, you know, it's different. And I had a few different relationships that lasted years, and honestly, like, it was just like, I don't know, like, for me, because I don't have history or too many experience prior to going
Because
to relationships.
you're small.
I had one girlfriend.
You're a child. I mean, let's be real. You were a freaking
I was
child.
not a virgin, though. I'm gonna make clear. I was not a virgin when I went to prison. Like, I get a lot of shit sometimes. People telling me, like, "Oh, you never had," man. Like, nah.
No, you were. If you're out in the streets,
Come
you were
on.
doing your thing.
I mean, I wasn't ratchet, but, you know, I had experience under my belt, so I knew what it was. I was just not, like, that was not my, like, I was not, like, you know, I remember I wasn't big on girlfriend. I was just street.
No, you were doing your thing. I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
Don't worry,
okay.
we
I
get
just wanna
you.
make sure, but-
We get you, Chino. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I did have a few relationships and pen pals and stuff like that, and I even got catfished once. I remember I was talking to this girl for a whole year.
You're in love and shit.
Not in love. I'm not gonna say in love, but, you know, like, I was just like,
I know what you mean.
I was just like, I ain't gonna lie, I was in love. Like, I was in love with I feel like the idea of creating something and building something, thinking that I'm a pro to it. I don't know why I always think that I'm a pro to it. Like,
I know what you mean. It's okay.
I knew I had 4 or 5 years, but it'll never last. Like, at some 1 year, 2 years have gone, you know, so it's like, damn, I'll have to start all over. Because I wanted to parole to something, honestly.
No, but honestly, the best thing that you didn't. It's not okay.
Like,
No.
I even got married in jail. Just
Wait, okay. That's a different. So you got married. Did you actually get married legally?
I got married legally in prison, and
Did the girl go visit you and all of that?
she visited me, but I never had a conjugal visit.
You didn't make it that far.
I didn't make it that far, so I got married with her, and it was a childhood friend. And
Okay. So you did know her from out here.
yeah, but, like, I don't know what I was thinking.
You weren't.
I wanted her to bring drugs, and
Well, like, it's how it is.
and, like,
Not for everybody.
she wasn't
Sorry,
participating.
ladies.
She wasn't participating with the program how I wanted, so I got mad and I just divorced her. But I was upset with myself that I allowed myself to go through that. But I was just, I was in the prison mindset where I'm like, I need to come up, I need to make some bread.
For sure.
And she was struggling, so I'm like, yeah, I can help you out, you know. But it just never happened. So I divorced her that same month we got divorced. Like, we got married, and like that same month I'm already filing for divorce. So I was mad at myself, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I think that, like, when I got married, it was gonna be like this sacred thing," and it's just like whatever.
Well, the point is you got divorced, which is
I got
fine.
divorced, yeah, and but you know what? I went through heartbreak in jail. I had this girlfriend named Pamela. I have her name tatted.
Chill, Pamela, you better not be watching.
Pamela put in work. And you know what? Like, she just stood by my side for 2 years, and, like, honestly, she didn't do nothing, like, but just, like,
It just didn't work out.
give me a companion. And honestly, like, I just appreciated having a good companion. And I feel like even with Sally's, even now, I feel like in relationships, like, when I think about what I want, I just want a good companion, someone I could just be myself, chill with, someone that I can grow with. And companionship, I don't think people really think too much because they're so caught up in wanting to get something.
But you know what? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You don't want to die. You want a companion.
When you grow old and your old ass is old as fuck, and you better hope that you have a companion.
This is my bestie. This is my companion, my lifetime companion.
That you've made the right choice, and that you don't get abandoned or you don't get left behind, and because I think that's what kills you, you know, living miserable or
Alone.
Or, like, she was a good companion for me. She supported me during some hard times, and, like, she would even shoot bread, you know, send me money. I hated asking girls for money, but she would be like, "Nah, don't trip." And just that little thing, little effort she would do made me appreciate
her.
Yeah, that's why I got her name. I put "Ain't No Woman Like the One I Got."
Oh, fuck.
You know what? I knew that she wasn't gonna
Your
last.
face.
I knew she wasn't gonna last. I knew she wasn't gonna last, man. I knew it because she kept talking about how she missed this and how she wants that, and, like, And I'm like, damn, I felt it, you know. And I remember telling her, like, right before she I already knew, like, I lost her. Like, I was telling her, like, look, like, I don't want to lose respect for you. Like, I don't want to lose what we've been working hard in having. Like, you've been cool, we've been cool. But if you at some point feel like this is not it and there's more, just tell me. Like, just tell me. At least inform me, you know. Like, I'll be here. I'm not going nowhere. Like, I'm gonna let her away. But let me know. Like, don't offend me and don't disrespect me by just hitting me with some shit like that. And she just kept talking about how she wishes she's do boyfriend girlfriend stuff and da. I already knew it.
She's already doing boyfriend girlfriend shit.
Do that work. That's why, man. Watch your girls at work, man. Like, the coworkers be getting them, especially if you're not taking care of business. They gone. And I feel like, you know, she wanted more intimacy. She wanted intimacy and something I couldn't give her.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time I had a phone, but like I lost it, so I was in contact with her, and she just needed that.
Yeah, girls need that. Yeah.
Needed that, and I wasn't there. And you know, the good thing about it, and this is why I have love for her, is because she straight up told me, like, when it comes to a boy, she told me, she's like, hey, look, I met this dude at work. You know, he's, I haven't given him a time of day, but
not yet.
I've been thinking about it because he's cool and he's persistent, and I'm like, well, look, man, if it makes you happy, like, go for it, you know, like. And she ended up going for it, you know, and I told her, cool, you know, and she ended up having a baby, and I spoke to her not too long ago.
Oh shit!
Well, a few months back, I ran into her in TikTok. She found me in TikTok, and I was tripping out, and I'm like, we're talking about it, and she was just like, man, I said, you ended up with a kid. You're not even with him. You hate the dude now. Imagine if you would have banged it out with me. You would have been,
cool.
I would have been loving you to death. Like, you would have been my life. I'm like, that's what I wanted. I said, but it's that, you know, like, it is what it is, you know? And that was that, you know, like,
aww.
You know, like, I feel like she wanted me to pick up where we left off, and I'm like, I don't think I'm there yet, you know, like, and I wasn't, you know, like. To me, it's like I'm very big on, like, you have to prove yourself in my life to have a space in my life. Because, you know, there's a lot of people trying to get in your life, in your world.
Always.
All day, you'll find people every day lined up to try to get in your world. But if you allow yourself to
and not even and not even necessarily like in a like get into your world as far as like in a love or that kind. But people are always trying to get into your world, no matter what.
Yeah, period. Just. You know, just period. Honestly, just being around your aura. You know, sometimes, you know, man, I don't know.
Yeah, because even my husband tells me, like, hey, you need to stop. Don't be accessible. I'm friendly as fuck. I can't help it. To my girl followers, I respond to all my girl followers. Like, to guys, I don't. Like, there's certain ones that I'm like, you know, if they're like super followers and they're super fans, like, not super fans, no, not like that, not fans, but like, you know, super good supporters. It's only right for me to like say here, but like, don't, if it's like a flirty kind or a stupid, like, nah, this is getting deleted. Like, I ain't even opening it.
There's
like, it's my place to show love.
Yeah, no, and there's a difference, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a difference in acknowledging.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Like, there's a difference between acknowledging the people who are in your life, who are supporting you, who are encouraging you, motivating you, who inspire you, and there's a difference between people who just want to get in.
Yeah, like, well, you're gonna get like, that's like the last thing.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like, and you know, some people will study you, and they'll just study you until they figure out how to get in, and they'll use that tactic. And it happened to me, you know, like, where people I feel like been studying me, and they found a way to get in, and I'm like, fuck, you infiltrated. I'm like, how the fuck can I feel violated? I'm like, damn. You know, because it's like, but it's this, you know, you live and you learn.
Yeah,
like,
you live and you learn.
Each situation, but I have been learning to be more reserved, you know, and more selective.
Yeah, you know, I'm definitely doing really good. I'm working on it. I've been doing well. I feel like I've come a long way as well, as far as like, you know, like being more private with me.
Yeah.
You know? So back to you, Chino. So where did you parole from?
So I paroled. So look, from out of state, I came back to Calipat. So I went back to Calipat. I was there for a year. And
when did you find out you were getting home? Did you already have a date?
So when I left out of state, I had 2 years left to parole. So I'm like I have started going through all this anxiety, because I'm like, damn, honestly, I used to program like a lifer. I used to program like if I was going to be in jail my whole life.
It's probably the safest way, huh?
It's just, I wasn't thinking about home, my parole day. Like, I didn't care. Like, when people think about the parole day, that's when you start scared,
I guess it's true.
And you're tapping out, you know, because you're thinking that, I just banged it out. I don't care. I had faith in God, and this is whatever. This is what's supposed to be. Let's roll. You know, and like, I walked faithfully like that my whole time. and it never misled me, you know. And whatever came, and whatever, you know, is what I was supposed to get. So I really do believe that. And so I came to Calipat. I was there for a year, and I was just like man, like I'm about to get out. Like I need to start thinking about what the fuck I'm gonna do, because if my parole date comes and I'm not, so I really started thinking about like what I need to do. And I'm like, I didn't want to come out institutionalized. So what I started doing, like I started reversing a lot of my behavior, like things habits that I knew I had. I would reverse it, like just little things, like I would be tripping on my celly sometimes, like if they didn't wipe my sink down, like the sink, you know, like, or if they didn't, you know, flush a certain way, or like if they didn't, I was very like, hey homie, like, you know, like I was very big on that, to where I would make it an issue and I would press that line, and then those are the little things that I had to like give up.
But out here, nobody.
That's what for me, I knew that I had to like not be so institutionalized like that, where I having this expectation or this standard from people, and they're not gonna meet. So I had to break my own shit. Like,
yes,
so sometimes I won't clean the sink just because I'm like, you know, just like things like that, where I'm like, I'm not gonna do what I usually do. And it was kind of like things like that, like I wouldn't work out, I just broke my program. Like I'm like, I need to break this program. And I just started thinking more of like what I wanted to like manifest, what I wanted to do. And I knew that I wanted to do some educational stuff, something I needed something. So I started reaching out to different things, you know, like I never done groups, you know. But in Calipat, when I was in Calipat, I was in AA for like 2 years. That was a cool experience. But when I was in Calipat, this last time prior to paroling, like I was seeking out college programs. I was seeking out something, because my whole time none of that was available. So I started running into these youngsters that they were talking to me about this dude named Scott Bunick. Oh, Scott Bunick. He's got a college program in Ironwood. I'm trying to go to Ironwood. You know, these little young ass kids turned up. And you know, they kept talking about this dude Scott Bunick. I'm like, who's Scott Bunick? And he's a film producer.
Okay.
You know, he did the Hangover trilogy.
Okay, because I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, he's the co-founder of ARC, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition.
Okay.
He's the co-founder of that. He's done a lot of work. You know, he's very big in the criminal justice system. So at the time, I had ran into some of his kids that he had been mentoring in juvenile hall, who were already old and were in.
Got it. Yeah.
So they're talking to me about him and wanting to go to this prison. So I was like, man, I'm like, what college program? I'm like, what, Ironwood? And they're like, yeah, he's supposed to transfer. I'm like, they ain't gonna transfer you, dog. And they got transferred, both of them. So I'm like, what the f-? So he had left me, before they left, they had left me his address to his, like, a film company. And I wrote him a letter, like, hey, I'm trying to get some college before I parole. Like, I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but I want some college. Like, I don't have nothing, no educational shit under my belt. Like, I'm educated, but I don't have no,
of course,
documentation of it, you know? So he never responded, so I'm like, whatever. And then they ended up having like this hub program. So through the hub program, I was able to transfer to Ironwood. So I made it to Ironwood on my own. And when I was there, I guess Scott would come into the prisons, and he had a list of all the juvenile offenders, or who were juvenile offenders, and he would pull them all out and talk to you, interview you.
And you were a juvenile.
And I happened to be I'm a juvenile offender who, and at the time they had been working on SB 261. Which is SB 61 was the first bill that allowed juvenile offenders who were sentenced as life in prison,
okay,
the opportunity to be, you know, given parole, you know, because of obviously because of underage, and them finding it was unconstitutional to you know, prison a minor and giving them long. So they're all going through resentencing, and they're actually giving them the opportunity to parole.
Nice.
So those life sentences were being turned into like 12, 20 years, you know, instead of life. So they were given an opportunity to go home, and then SB 260, and then it was SB 261, and then a few laws, but I found under SB 260, so he pulled me out, and he did an interview with me, and he was interviewing me, and he was like, what you want to do? And I'm like, man, well, like, what you need? I'm like, I don't need nothing. Like, I just want to do some college, like, you know, like, I just want to do some college. He's like, all right. So I started enrolling, you know, and like doing that, and then I started working with him, and I started seeing, like, they were going through some challenges on that yard, you know, because of the politics there. You know, the dudes were older, you know, Tecato dudes. They didn't have no regard for education. They had no regard for youngsters. They had no, they didn't even have any respect. Feelings for themselves. Yeah, like, so the youngsters going to college was like frowned upon. You know, so when I started doing it, like, I'm like, man, watch out. Like, I'm going to college. Like, what's up? Say something, you know? Like, I was like, what's up? Say something to me, because they're attacking these dudes, you know? Sending them on missions and stuff like that, and, like, using them as torpedoes because their choice to seek out college, you know? So that bothered me. So I started working with Scott in establishing the college program, like, and, you know, little by little, like, just trying to work together and figure out what's the best approach to offering college to young dudes. And it got to the point where I'm like, we were doing all kinds of shit, and it's just like, you know what, I told Scott, you know what I'm gonna have to do, like, I'm gonna have to do it my way. And he was just like, he's like, whatever. You didn't know, he didn't want to, he didn't
even know what to say. I get it.
He was just like,
do you?
And that's what I did, you know. I ended up snatching up that yard. I didn't want to do that because I'm about to parole, you know, so I'm like, fuck it. If I get validated, fuck it. If I get validated for this, I was like, man, I'll be mad, but I'm like, fuck it.
At least, like, I'm going home.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
And and at least I'll be home, you know, so it's like, it's not like I'm going to be, you know. And that's what I did. I helped Scott establish the college program in Ironwood. And I worked with the kids right there. And I took over and like, I replaced a lot of things and put things in place. Like, I did reforming. Look, for real, it's reforming. It's the same thing when I got out. I started working with him.
Okay, so you got out. Did you go to? You didn't have to go to a halfway house, right?
No.
So how does that work for you guys? Because you did 15 years.
I did my whole time. So I didn't get out off the bill.
Okay.
Bill, although it applied to me, my time had already maxed out.
So you went to you paroled to your mom's.
So Scott had asked me to parole to a housing program that he had just established. And I was like, look, let me parole to my hood just one day. Let me just get a taste of what it is to go to my hood in one day. And after that one day, like, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go, because I'm like,
it was too much. Yeah.
I was just like, this ain't it. I can't grow here. Like, there's so much still embedded trauma that I hadn't yet, you know, confronted.
And this is, what year did you parole?
2015.
Okay.
August of 2015.
Okay.
And I went to the college program, and I established the college program. I went to the housing, and I helped him establish that housing program, because it was fairly new, you know. So you had half of the group was lifers that were getting out off the SB 260, and the other half were youngsters getting out from YA or you know, just juvenile hall, or whatever. And there was like a big disconnect. And I think the lifers that were approaching the youngsters were like, oh, I'm the lifer, you know, like, you got to follow this program. And they're, you know, old bitter men. Like, so when I got there, I knew all the lifers from prison, and they were scared of me, you know, because some of them are Christians and shit. Like, them fools was active, but they're over here trying to be active with these youngsters. So when I pulled up, they were all like,
well, you're a Christian in jail. Shut your ass up.
Like, so I was able to, like, man, like, nah, this is what we're doing. This is the program. And
no offense, I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that's for real. That's how I was. Like, these dudes were. They just try to use that big homie, you know, big brother approach. And these fools young, they didn't care, you know. But I came in there, and I feel like I was able to build the bridge, you know, to help them understand each other, and both because I grew up with lifers, so I understand how they are, and the culture and the lifestyle that they come from, and, you know, what they're used to. But I also was towards my end, I was around youngsters my whole time, so I knew what they coming from. So there's just a big gap, man. I feel like I built the bridge, you know. So there was, instead of it being, you know, conflict with each other, it became mentorship now, where I used to challenge them dudes to adopt some of these dudes and mentor them, you know. So I started like a little mentorship program called the Wolfpack Mentorship Program.
That's cool.
Right there, yeah, and like we would mentor. That was the philosophy, like, you know, we're all part of the Wolfpack, dog. Like, we're all doing the same shit, going through the same shit, like, you know. So we're only as strong as each other, you know. So
yeah,
the pack, you know, this is the pack. Like, let's protect each other. So that's kind of like what I did there, and then at the same time, I got a job as a youth counselor with the Harold Robinson Foundation, and that was a trip that honestly brought a lot of healing in my life. Working with kids from the Compton Watts and South Central area. This was a nonprofit organization that would invite kids from Compton Watts and South Central, from the inner cities, to go to a camp and have a camp experience for 3 days. And I went as a camp counselor. I remember I just went one day to visit, and then they hired me. Like, I hit it off with the kids, and they offered me a job, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And like my first day there with the kids, like I cried like a baby. Like it was just weird, and it was just a lot of confronting a lot of my own childhood, you know, just memories, and just it was a trip. But
like you needed it. Your path has put you on your, yeah.
That was the best thing that God put in my. Honestly, it brought so much healing for me. I felt so like my mom. Just my mom see me, she started. You know, she's like, oh, you work with kids, like just that right there, and like seeing that I'm doing that, like it really made her. And a lot of people that knew me were like, oh, what? You're a counselor? Like, people were tripping. I'm like, yeah. And honestly, I found myself becoming a whole different person because I'm surrounded by kids.
You
and
have to
they're
carry
looking up to
yourself
me.
a different way.
It brought out the best in me, honestly. It brought out the best in me, and I have videos of you see, like, you wouldn't believe it that I was over here doing politicking and running this and doing that, and then I'm over here dancing with kids, fucking doing the latest popular dance and shit. Like, it was funny, but I loved it. So I was doing that for a few years. At the same time, I started working with Scott and the policy and doing some policy and with the ARC and establishing their policy department. Because at the time they were working on bills, but they didn't have a policy department. I told them, you need a policy department who focuses just on policies. And they had.
Because you're good at creating policies.
No, that's what I am. That's what I do. I am. I really do. I got a niche for that. I really do, because of what I've studied and what I've learned and what I've,
like rights.
Yeah, rights and just I'm good at that. And I worked with Bekele Ochoa. He was the policy director at ARC, and I helped him. I worked with him in a lot of juvenile justice bills and laws. I would go to lecture at USC School of Law, and I would lecture to the students on how to properly, effectively represent juvenile offenders. I would walk in as an expert, so it's like they saw me as an expert, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, words make a difference.
Not just that, but because I have the education and I was able to articulate myself in a way that they understood it, because
the kids, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the
adults,
the students,
yeah,
the law students. That were,
okay.
So talking to them with the knowledge that I had and understanding how to the law, I was able to put things in perspective for them to understand how the law is being it's one thing coming up with a policy, another thing it being implemented. You know what I mean? So a bill or a law will pass, right? And then the Title 115, right? The way it reads in the Title 115 is completely different. The way it's interpreted is completely different. So I would make sure that everything that we were working on, that it was implemented exactly like that in the Title 115. So that the officials can't, fucking, misinterpret or the way they want, like, nah.
This is what it is and this is what it is.
Yeah. So I was very, active in that. I did that for like 3-4 years, where we were going to Sacramento, talking to, politicians and talking to governors and talking to everybody.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and I was doing the most. Like, I was politicking for reals. I'll go suit it up. Like, for reals, I'll go suit it up. And I'm like, and not just that, but I think that it changed the culture, because at the time, ARC, like, homies that they come from where I come from, you don't do that. We don't involve ourselves in that. You're not supposed to participate in shit like that, because just for whatever reasons. But for me, I was like, I wish somebody come tell me something, because I know what I'm doing and I know why I'm doing it, and I know who's benefiting from this, and only I need to know. I don't got to be explaining myself to nobody. So, and because of the work that I feel like I put there, this is the reason why now you see lifers coming home. I have my old celly, my homeboy Whisper, like, he was a lifer, a juvenile, he was a juvenile offender, he was a lifer, now he's out. Now he's like living his life. I never thought in my life that I would see that, so for me, knowing that I participated in offering the opportunity like that to somebody,
that's everything.
I feel like I did my job. I feel like
right.
That to me is my stripes. That's for me. Everything else I did in the streets or in the prison, that to me is putting in work. Working with the kids, that's me putting in work. So I take pride in that.
But you put in work in every situation you had to be in to be able to be the man you are now.
Oh, Mando, like, I've been blessed, to be in those positions, to rise up and just leave an example that and a standard that I feel like people could follow, and because I feel like, because I put myself out there and I took the risk, and because no one was sure like what the consequences were if you did this, and they saw Chino doing it, though. They're like, it must be cool because Chino's still moving and he's still doing it. So I made it okay, and it opened the door for people to come. And I worked with Scott a lot, and him understanding like the cultural difference as far as like dealing with someone who's GP and someone who's SNY. I would tell him like, look, like, I really got into those conversations with him. Like, look, you got to understand like how this. I get that you're trying to be all in, like, nah, but look, understand that this is how it works. This is how it is. And just so you have more of a healthier space, because you can't just be bombarding all these people and bringing them together
just because they went to prison
and expect them to just get along, and if they don't get along, then you don't really want to work on yourself, or you don't really want to change. Like, you can't judge them for that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of embedded shit that you got to rewind, and it's like, it's a process, and it's because he's put me in places with those dudes that I know are SNY, and I'm like, why you do that? Like, or you're still active, and like
that's not the point.
Things like that, but I would be like, that's not it, Scott. I said, look, it's not about that. I really don't care. Well, homeboy, I don't care. They never affected me. I don't care. I'm not here like, but just you got to understand though that some of those people, you put them in, you may be putting them in a position where they may not want to be in, you know, because, you know, there's one thing you being a PC because you're the drug dealer and you just decided, you know, I don't want to be here. Another thing, if you're somebody who's actually put people away or you actually are the cause of someone, you know, being harmed, or like there's a big difference, you know, and people need to understand that. Like if you were scared and you PC'd up and you're, homie, I'm not sweating you.
Yeah, you're
but if you're one of them dudes that you know, because of you put other dudes away and you went out of your way to make sure you put other fools away, then like, yeah, then you're a piece of shit. That's a real piece of shit, you know, in my eyes. But if you're just a dude that was scary, because I saw a lot of scary.
Oh, there's like even like well, not
don't
even
belong in prison.
Yeah, or even like just these rape fools that.
Man,
like that's something like you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Can you bring your kid? Can you bring your child around this man?
And I swear to God, and in prison, I still remember the time I had a conversation when I found out about what PC and all that was. I didn't know about none of that. And I asked myself, damn, would I ever PC up? Like, and I really thought about what that meant. And I'm like, nah, I could never see myself getting a visit from my mom, knowing that I'm inviting her into a space with a fucking pedophile or a child molester or some fucking
that
creep.
That part.
And put her in the same room. Like, I would not live with myself.
That part.
You know, and that right there to me was enough. Like, if I had to die, then that's what I would that's what would happen.
That part.
I'm not gonna put my mom in a. That to me that was it. Like that's how I had to think about it. And I was like, oh, that made my decision easy. Like that, I'll never.
That part, yeah.
You know, so I banged it out like that, and it really did help me in holding up to that. Because it wasn't easy, you know. There was a lot of times where I ain't gonna lie.
No, I'm sure.
I never considered it, but I'm just like, damn. Like, there's certain positions, there's certain situations where you can't, no matter what you do, like you have no other option.
Yeah.
Cause like, but thank God, like it never happened.
Thank
to me.
God. So tell me, Chino, where are you at right now?
So where I'm at right now, honestly, like I started doing music. I've been doing music. I worked with a lot of different artists behind the scenes. You know, I do because my relationship with a lot of people in the industry, both in the film and music. I worked at NBC Universal for a whole year, so I have a lot of network, like a big contact when it comes to film. I just co-produced a film with a friend of mine named Eric Nazarian. It's a feature film that I was able to, because remember I was telling you how I brought the camera in my hood and all that? And I really felt like my homies didn't respect that, and I was trying to do something good. So like years later, I'm like, let me show these fools. So I brought Hollywood to the hood, and the film that I co-produced with my friend Eric Nazarian, he's the director and the writer of the script of a movie called Die Like a Man, should be coming out soon. I worked with him and you know, from the streets to the set. I worked with her, and we casted and we worked together and we built it up and I was able to bring him to my hood, shut it down. I took him to the straight trap. Like I took them to the house, it was like trap. Like it was no longer trap when they came, but it was like that's what it's known for. The police would tell you, like. Yeah. So I felt very proud of being able to do that and show my homies. Like I felt like that was my way of showing my city that I'm serious about what I've been trying to do. And I did that shit without your motherfucker support, you know, because you fools been just ignorant to what I'm doing. But them bringing it, and I actually had some of my homies participate in it. They were just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you fools, homie, like, we could do films, we could do this. So one of the things I'm working on right now is like, I've been writing a few different scripts, and I want to get into like production, you know, creating more short films on our culture. If you remember back in the 80s and 90s, like me growing up with, when NWA and all the artists and like just pop culture or hip hop culture was born, right, and it blew up. That was mainly the African American culture, like, you know, we were living through them, through their stories, through, and we were, you know, that's how we reflected back on ourselves because we were related to their stories. So I feel like
that makes a lot of sense.
You know, and it's true. I was raised on African, like black music, like Tupac, like I can't say no Spanish people, like, you know, or no homies. I didn't grow up on no Little Rob, none of that shit. I know. Even though I did, low key Little Rob CD, I did stumble on it when I was young, and I was tripping out that a homie was doing music. But it never caught my attention like that.
I know what you mean, for sure.
You know, so I feel like now we're at a time where it's like I feel like we're getting the spotlight, and I feel like African American community and culture has had their run in storytelling and entertainment and everything everywhere else, and I feel like the stage is being set for us to step up and take the initiative and being able to be the creatives behind, depicting what we want as far as our culture and our stories and storytelling, So that's one of the things I want to do, get involved in telling stories and doing short films and feature films and, like stuff like that. And I feel like, I was raised by these stories and this music and those, the Fridays and the, the benefit societies. I feel like I'm ready to see that in my generation right now with our people, our stories that reflect us, because we're raising the next generation right now. So I feel like it's very important that we're in tune with that and we understand the power behind that. And whatever we put out there, like, we stay true to ourselves. But at the same time,
it's crazy that you say that because, we are, I don't know you, but we, like the kids that dress with the cholos, that listen to the oldies. I listen to oldies. Yeah. My husband, that's all that's like my first love. Like oldies, he's like third, fourth generation. His mom is an oldie lover. Like, she's born Chicana, raised in LA. She's 72 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we listen to oldies. Like in the car, that's what we ride. Like all the kids with the lowriders, and it's like that's what we are raising these next generation to, because that's what we listen to. They like the funky little beat, and that's what it is.
They're influenced by the 90s culture that we had,
because that was us
that we established. But when you think about the culture right now that's being established and what they're putting out, I can't say that I hold it to high regard. Like it's not really giving them anything but bullshit. This is why I feel like me, someone who's experienced, who knows better, and who's also in a position to create some shit. And I feel like I have enough people, and I know enough people to put some shit together to where we can, take control of this narrative of how we depict ourselves and how we represent ourselves today, right now. It's important because there's a lot of people who are doing important stuff, great stuff, and there's a lot of stories who haven't been told.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough, raza or just Latino like screenwriters or like people who are involved. This is why I'm also working on a nonprofit, and one of the things I want to do is offer space for young kids to come and learn like how to set up the camera, learn how to set up the lights, and offer them an opportunity into a job skill. And once I get the production company going, I can hire them, So it's like, keep it in-house, you know what I mean? Plus it's nonprofit, so I'm getting tax write-offs, so it's helping me.
You get donations, all that extra shit.
You know what I'm saying? For real. And like, that's where the money's at.
Yeah.
I saw how much money flows in the nonprofit.
No, for sure. Trust me. We know.
Business. It's business straight up. At first, I was like all into like, changing the world.
No.
Changing the world.
It's all money, bro. Everything is money no matter what. It's how it's what makes you,
No, I was into changing the world for like the first few years. After a while, I'm like, damn, this is a straight business.
Yeah.
A multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
Billion-dollar business. And, I thought about what I want to do, and that's one of the things I want to do, and it's for the purpose of empowering younger people to take control of their storytelling and of their, not just telling their stories, but the stories around them of what they see, of what it is. And I think it's important that we encourage each other on that, and being able to do that, and instead of using these spaces to use gossip or to turn them into novelas and shit. Like, if that's the case, just have a talk show, open up a talk show and have fucking like some Jerry Springer shit, and like, that's expected.
Because that's exactly what's happening.
That's what's happening in platforms where it shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? And I feel like,
you know what's funny that you say that, because most of these platforms that are like the novelas are anonymous.
And that's the problem.
It just creates problems.
You never know who's behind the scenes trying to sabotage us.
Yeah, and it's just like, instead of using your big pages to like put everybody together as far as like love and like, not even love, but like, hey, look at this guy, he's working so hard.
If you have a page and you can't give,
and you use the negativity for your advantage, that like, who really are you as a person?
Yeah,
obviously you don't even want to put yourself out there, so you're not really an okay person within yourself.
That's why I think it's very important to really like think about like, and understand that like, there's people that don't want to see us grow because they know the potential that we have.
Yeah.
They know we're the biggest market. You feel what I'm saying? And we're and the Mexico market for us too is opening up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're about to like be in a position to where it's like, if you're really thinking ahead of the game, and if you position yourself in a good position, you'll be the next Tyler Perry, the next Ice Cube to do the next 50 Cent, like the next. You could do that, but you have to already be in a position to have some type of knowledge and preparation to set yourself up to get to that point.
So when people ask me like my mom or like just certain people, like, what are you gonna do, Cristina? What do you mean? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna continue to do what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Like Ellen, like Oprah, like
Yeah.
All they do is sit down and talk to people like what I'm doing. Like, why can I do this?
You know what? I definitely see you as a host. You should, instead of doing podcasts.
Well, I don't do podcast.
Well, I mean, what would you label this?
This is an interview.
Yeah.
Like, I am interviewing you about your whole life.
I think like a talk show. You would do good at it.
I think we could. This is a talk show as well. If we present it on live,
like I'm talking about like a broadcast. Well,
that's what I said.
Put you in a channel
Well, that's the goal. We want to be able to grow and. But you know, this is only 2 years. But I am not gonna sell myself out either when I know how much potential we have. As in like the channel or even as people. And we're just growing, you know?
You do, but you got to understand though too, like the biggest thing is that you're going to have a lot of people that don't want to see you. That don't want to see you. And all these anonymous pages or these people who control these pages and they don't want to see it.
Well, I don't give a shit about those people. That's the last thing.
You got to understand though, like there's people working against you every day.
And that's fine. But you know what? God is good. And people that work against me, that's okay. You know?
Yeah. And that's how you have to be, you know. But
I am 42 years old. You think I give a shit with a 25, 30-year-old?
You know what I would love to see? Like, I would love to see like a BET for Raza. You know, like.
But you know what? I would love to see that too. But everybody crybaby.
Yeah.
They all want to be number one. Like, bro, everybody.
You know, like that's why, like I don't. That's why I don't get caught up with like, oh, but I don't pay attention. I just know what needs to be done, and I'm just focusing on how could I get it done. Anybody else or the static or the noises.
Well, I mean, getting the people there is a problem.
Well. You know, and it's like I felt like I had to make sure that I put myself out there as an example because people come up with excuses, and then drug addiction is another thing. You know, drug abuse.
Addiction is a lot. If you've never used drugs, I feel like if an individual has never used drugs, you cannot. It's something you cannot speak about the next individual because being on drugs is.
Up, and I went through that when I was a kid. I went through a drug process, drug abuse when I was young, and that's kind of contributed to my incarceration. But right now, like I'm able to go and pull up on my older homies, and they respect mine and they respect me.
Good, as it should.
You know, there's certain things that I'm like, you know, like I said, for policy and stuff, I'm like, hey, look, this needs to stop.
Yeah,
like, we can't be doing this, and this needs to stop. And then you know, so it's like once I figured out and got on the same understanding with some of the elders in my city, and we were able to come to an understanding of like. What we wanted to encourage amongst the youngsters, and what we don't want, then we're able to get ourselves right. But with that being said, too, like there's conflicts outside that comes from outside. So it's like I went out of my way to tap in with people. I know a gang of people from different bottles from everywhere. Yeah. And you know, like I reach out and I'm like, hey, look, like what could we do? You know, like because I feel like I want to create more business opportunities too, because we're in conflict, dog, and we can't make business. We can't work together. You know, we're always, and that's just that street shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you know.
But it's just what it is. We're just not involved in it, so it's just gonna continue.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like I'm not involved in it like that, but I still find it, and I still find myself dealing with it. So if I gotta deal with it, best believe I'm not gonna sit and go about oblivious. Like, homie, so check it out.
No, trust me, I understand.
If it's like this, and you gonna, if I gotta deal with it like that, then check it out. That this is what I'm gonna do, and this is, and that's what I've been doing.
Oh, good.
It's just like this is what I'm at, and this is like why I wanted to, you know, kind of like share this space and like because there's a lot of people that
and I appreciate you
misleading
I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming because honestly, what you've shared is you know it's something different. You know, we all have the same paths but different stories. Like you know, obviously you're indicted, so you're. Same kind of paths, different stories, you know. But I love what you shared. I love how you shared. I think it's dope.
Well, I appreciate it, you know. And like I said, this is just the beginning. Like, I got some shit coming up.
We're still young, you know what I'm saying? We're still young.
I'm still young. I'm still young. That's what I am. I'm still young. Yeah. I'm gonna stay young for life. I'm gonna die young.
That's right. Yeah. Well, before we go, is there anything else you want to share that you haven't shared?
You know what? Just that I appreciate. You know, you guys, what you guys are doing. You know, people, if you want to follow my music page, I have like a Prodigy Official.
Yeah, well, we're gonna put everything there. You could just talk to. Obviously, you know my husband for a long time.
Pages. I have my page where I've done my community service work and everything I do. And I have a music page, and I've separated for 2 reasons because it's just 2 different things.
I know what you mean.
I have people to be like, "Why you got 2 pages?" I'm like, "Because it's 2 different things." Like,
we'll have like 4 pages, and every 4 different is a different thing.
Yeah. So all right, cool. I thought I was the only one.
No.
People make me feel awkward about that. I'm like,
nah.
It'll make
this
no
is
sense.
one. I have something else. I have like you know.
Yeah. But you know what? Just like I said, you know, I just appreciate it. And like one of the things I work with a lot of, you know, people coming home who are still transitioning. So, and if anybody needs any support, I work with referring people to get the resources that they need.
That's
whether
good.
it be housing, drugs, whatever. Like, I'm very connected with the nonprofit world, and I noticed that a lot of people are very disconnected from the information that's out there and what's available for them.
Definitely, because I do get a lot of messages like,
yeah,
hey.
well, I could imagine because the topics that you touch and a lot of it of incarceration and abuse and all that. There's a lot of services that go out there. So maybe I feel like, I should give you some pamphlets to be able to share with people who come, and because there's resources.
I could even do that as a live.
There's so many resources that are out there, and I feel like if you're somewhere out there who are struggling with whether it be the lifestyle, drugs, there's resources out there for you.
For everybody. There's more resources for them than for like...
There really is. Honestly,
I know.
There really is. But a lot of people don't take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, I always tell people, take advantage of everything.
If you're looking to escape that, and my homie Shady Boy recently, like, he's been doing good. He talked about, and he's somebody that I saw go from, like, I saw that, and I worked with him from the beginning, and to see him where he's at now, like, that's for me, it's one of the things that I'm like, man, this it does work, and it does take time for somebody, sometimes.
For sure.
So it's like, but that's pretty much it, and I appreciate it, and
No, thank you, Chino. It was a good one, huh?
It was a good one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it myself too. We laughed. It was good. We clowned. It was good. It was serious. It was all good. It was good. All right, you guys. Well, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram.